Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto gets a bloodline from Kami part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. October 10th, Konohagakure no Sato, village hidden in the leaves. It was a festival held every year in the village of Konoha. It commemorated the defeat of a certain nine-tailed demon, the Kyubi no Kitsune, and the heroic death of the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze. It was the same every year: fun, laughter, games, drinks, and joy. However, for a certain blonde kid it was not. Naruto Uzumaki, a 6-year-old orphan, was currently ruining hours as if his life depended on it, which it does. Moreover, today is his birthday. Yes, the one day everyone should have a lot of fun together, and love him a lot, was the very day that brought him nightmares no one should ever dream, much less live them in the flesh. Please! Stop this! What have I done? Naruto screamed as he ran, avoiding swords, knives, even discarded sake bottles. He was escaping from a mob of angry villagers. Shut up, demon! You know what you did, and now we are going to make you pay at last, said a man who was obviously a chunin due to his vest and headband. The rest of the mob cheered as he pulled a kunai from his pouch. He then proceeded to throw the kunai to Naruto, who couldn't dodge and got stabbed in the shoulder. The boy fell to the ground in pain only to be hit by rock and anything thrown at him. The crowd cheered, think that the demon was getting what he deserved. The same chunin from before took a step forward and made some hand seals. Naruto tried to crawl away only to be roasted alive by a low-level katan jutsu. The crowd was happy and the chunin proud of what he did, until a katana was driven through his skull. The crowd was dead silent as they saw ANBU Captain Uchiha Itachi kill the heroic chunin, snapping his fingers. The rest of his ANBU squad appeared surrounding the mob. They attacked an innocent child and went against the laws. Kill all the civilians and bring the shinobi to Ibiki. Tell him they hurt Naruto, and he's got permission to do whatever he wants with them. Nodding, the ANBU forces proceeded to kill all civilians in the mob and knock unconscious all shinobi to give them to Ibiki later. Itachi walked towards the charred body of Naruto, and a tear marked his stoic face. Gomenasai, Naruto-kun. I didn't get here in time to prevent this. Checking that indeed Naruto was still alive, he gently cradled him in his arms. I just hope it's not too late to save your life. He shined away immediately. Somewhere. The blonde woke up in a strange place. It looked like forest. Confused, the child rose to his feet and turned around, trying to recognize the area. Over here, Naruto called a voice. Naruto looked around and made his way to this mysterious voice. Tough, cautious wetter. It was a trap. It was the only lead he had to his current situation, and promptly followed it. The search drove high to beautiful clearing in the forest with a small river in the side, some rocks by scattered nearby and filled with life butterflies, bunnies, even a deer was there. But what caught his attention was the person in front of him. She could only be described as beautiful. Her long blonde hair with blue highlights, her soft, slightly pale skin, her iridescent icy blue eyes, her light blue kimono with darker blue embroidery. She was just an astounding sight for the blonde. But what immediately caught his eye were the light blue tipped golden wings on her back, and the 9 phoenix-like tail feathers that flowed from behind her. She beckoned him closer and softly spoke with a beautiful voice. Naruto-kun, I'm glad you came. Todd, I wish it was in better circumstances. She spoke somewhat apologetically. Naruto just stood there trying to understand what's going on. Naruto-kun, my name is Kami. Naruto interrupted her with a loud what? Kami-sama. The Kami-sama. With a raised eyebrow she nodded. Then does this mean I'm dead? If so, what am I doing here? Am I not supposed to go to Makai? Or perhaps you came to guide me there yourself? He said. She interrupted him before he could continue. Wait, Naruto-kun, why do you think you belong in hell? She asked, concerned. Well, everyone called me a demon, and a murderer. I assumed I was in fact one, and since I'm dead it means I go back to hell, he said, looking at the ground. She shook her head and grabbed his shoulders, making him look at her. I.e. Naruto-kun, you are not a demon, far from it, you're actually above any angel I could ever make. This made Naruto raise an eyebrow. Listen, Naruto-kun, as I was saying before, my name is Kami, Uzumaki Kami. I am your ancestor. Naruto-kun. Naruto's eyes widened like plates, but he remained silent. Nevertheless, I am here to tell you this. You have a bloodline of sorts. It comes from your mother's family. Though your bloodline hasn't been activated in over 1,000 years, it's a bloodline called Vessel of Chaos. Kyosa no Fun. It's not so much a bloodline as it is a marker. It marks whoever is destined to be the next deity. Deity? What do you mean, Kami-sama? He asked, confused. You see, Naruto-kun, when the one true God created the universe and its inhabitants, he was weakened and fell to a deep slumber. Since he couldn't watch over the humans, he created deities, beings of infinite power who wielded it to watch over and protect his creations. But seeing as it was too much power, He made a few rules that should be followed. He made it so only a few chosen by himself could be the deity. And only one ruled at a time. Naruto was slightly confused but listened nonetheless. Nad understood the story to some extent then. Kamine, you were a chosen one and there were other gods before you? Asked Naruto. She smiled at the nay part slightly and answered, yes, Naruto-kun, there were many gods before me and many more will come. Taught my time as a god is probably the shortest, yet I've only ruled for 1,500 years. Naruto made an face and said, oh, but you look so young and pretty. Kami giggled a little and smiled sweetly at the child in front of her. Indeed I do, Naruto-kun. You see, we deities become ageless when we rise to the throne. We are beyond the concept of youth. Old, male, female, even size is meaningless to us. Anyway, as I was saying, I'm the one deity who has ruled the less amount of time. The previous deity Bal-senpai ruled for over 3 times that. Naruto once again made an face but remained quiet. Anyway, Naruto-kun, you were chosen by the Great One as the next in line to become a deity. But you're still young and will need help as your powers awaken. Unfortunately, I am forbidden to help you or modify the current of events that happen in the human world, though I can influence it. Right now you must rest, for you were nearly killed today. But soon you shall meet the one person who will be with you forever to guide and help you in any way she can. Naruto perked up to this and asked again, but Kamine, who is this Nei-chan? Where can I find her, or how will she recognize me? Kami once again giggled at the blonde child. She's been with you since the day you were born, Naruto-kun, and she'll be by your side until you pass your title to the next deity. She goes by the title of Benheim Kitsune, the Kyubi no Kitsune. This shocked the little blonde boy, but before he could ask anything he got interrupted by Kami. Naruto-kun, it's time you wake up. The Hokage and a few others are very worried right now. You'll wake up in a hospital bed with most of your wounds healed. Goodbye, Naruto-kun, I'll talk with you later. October 11th, Kanehigakure no Sato Private Hospital Wing. And so the little boy opened his eyes startled, only to be greeted by the sight of white marble and translucid tubes, as well as the relieved and slightly tearful face of the Hokage. Hokage Gigi, he said with a weak smile, I'm glad to see you. Hokage Gigi, Naruto said with a weak smile, I'm glad to see you. The old Hokage smiled warmly at the blonde. Hi Naruto, I'm glad to see you too. He removed most of the medical equipment and helped Naruto to sit upright. Feeling better? He asked. Just a little sore, Gigi, Naruto said with a grin. You sure heal fast, you know? Not anyone can take a fireball dead on and be just a little sore the next day. The Hokage laughed a little but turned serious. Naruto, about yesterday he began but was interrupted by Naruto. Gigi, I want to talk to you about some things, among them the Kyubi no Kitsune. The Hokage's eyes widened and cursed under his breath. Darn, one of those villagers or shinobi must have told him something. I'll have to tell Ibiki to remove any restrictions in his search later. Hokage Tower, Interrogation Department. Ibiki was briefing the captured shinobi when he suddenly grinned widely without reason, something that chilled the bones of even his partners. Ibiki-san? Why are you smiling? Asked a fellow kunoichi. Oh, nothing important. Remember how I said I would torture them with a slow and painful death? The kunoichi nodded. Well, forget about the death part. I have the feeling I have permission to keep them alive for a long time. He smiled. Konoha's Hospital, Private Wing. What about the Kyubi, Naruto? The Hokage said with a nervous smile. You know the story. He was defeated by the Yondaime Hokage 6 years ago. Naruto glanced at the old Hokage. Gigi, I know the Kyubi is inside me. What I want to know is how she got there. Naru, the Hokage began but stopped in mid-sentence at realizing something. Did you just say she? Naruto nodded. The Kyubi is a female? That's news to me. Naruto just waved his hand so the Hokage would continue. Oh yeah, Naruto, the Kyubi wasn't killed 6 years ago. There is no way to kill an immortal being, so the Yondaime did the next best thing. He sealed the fox into a newly born baby boy, giving up his own life in the process. Naruto listened intensely, no reaction apparent in his face. Probably holding back from his emotions, the old man thought the Yondaime wanted you to be seen as a hero by the village. Sad it is that his wishes weren't respected. Naruto remained silent for a while before cracking with laughter. Ha 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 ha, well, so much for respecting a dead man's wishes, Gigi? Naruto calmed and smiled, which confused the Hokage. He was expecting something akin to rage or anger, sadness or something. And Naruto? Aren't you angry? He reluctantly asked, raising a brow. Angry? Why would I be? The fourth was an idiot in believing I would be treated as a hero, and yes, I should be angry, if not to the village, at least to the fourth. He closed his eyes and smiled once again. But I am not. I understand the fourth did so to protect his beloved village. He didn't hate me since he wanted me to be a hero, and the village are fools, but I do not blame them. It is human nature to hate and fear what you don't understand. They see me as the fox instead of her prison, though if what I know about her is true, then I am curious as to know why she attacked the village. The Hokage raised an eyebrow. What do you mean, Naruto? Naruto looked at him and sighed a little. Gigi, I'll tell you later, but first I want to ask you for a favor. The Hokage was slightly taken aback. What is it, Naruto? Naruto breathed a little. I want to be trained as a ninja. The Hokage tilted his head slightly. But Naruto, we already had this conversation. I'll put you in the academy in 2 years. Naruto shook his head. No, Gigi. I want to be trained starting now. Why, Naruto? Asked the Hokage. Because ninja training would help me avoid these situations in the future. Plus, if I'm correct, no one will correctly teach me anything. More likely than not, they'll sabotage me. The Hokage nodded in understanding. Very well, Naruto. I agree as long as you promise me you won't hurt any villager. The Hokage said. I won't, Gigi. I promise, Naruto responded calmly. Very well, Naruto. I can't teach you myself out of lack of time, but I'll try and find a teacher willing to tutor you, he said. Hokage-sama, interrupted Uchiha Itachi, who was silently watching their exchange from a chair in the corner of the room. I would like to train Naruto, he said. The Hokage, taken aback from this, said to the young Anbu, but Crow, what about your job as a Anbu? If it's alright with you, Hokage-sama, I would like to ask a time off. You can give me a jounin rank and I could take a long-term mission to train Naruto. The Hokage hummed. Asked, why do you want to train Naruto? Itachi stood and said, I always found the fact that the village didn't respect the fourth's wishes something cruel. I myself have befriended Naruto as both Crow and myself. Itachi removed his mask and said, I honestly doubt there's someone more qualified to train him than myself. Besides, finding another willing shinobi of trust would take a while, and I am here already. The Hokage drew a breath and smoked a bit from his pipe. What do you think, Naruto? Naruto looked at both and smiled. It would be awesome if Itachi and I trains me. The Hokage nodded and said, very well, Crow. Uchiha-san, you are hereby reinstalled as an elite jounin and assigned the long-term mission of training Uzumaki Naruto in the ways of the shinobi. Come to my office later to fill up paperwork. See you later, Naruto. I have to leave, the Hokage said, and after putting on his hat, he left the room. Thanks for offering, Itachi and I, Naruto said. It's okay, Naruto-kun. I think you have amazing potential anyway. I wouldn't want anybody else training you. What do you say if after we sign you off the hospital I treat you to some ramen? Naruto grinned like a man. Woho ramen. Thanks for offering, Itachi and I, Naruto said. It's okay, Naruto-kun. I think you have amazing potential anyway. I wouldn't want anybody else training you. What do you say if after we sign you off the hospital I treat you to some ramen? Naruto grinned like a man. Woho ramen. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Uchiha Itachi would regret this choice. Kanahigaku no Sato Food District. Naruto-kun, slow down a bit. We'll get there, just be patient, Itachi said to an overly jumpy Naruto as they walked towards the ramen stand. He heard Naruto like, look, Itachi and I, there's a chiraku stand. Naruto ran faster than the roadrunner and was already ordering when Itachi entered the stand. Itachi took a seat next to Naruto and waited for the waitress to turn towards him to order. There you go, Naruto-kun, the first plate of miso ramen. I said cheerfully. Thank you, Nei-chan, said Naruto happily while swallowing the soup. I smiled and turned to Itachi, and what can I get you? I was looking at Itachi completely petrified, and she wasn't the only one. Itachi had the same look on his face as both of them got a slight pink tint in their cheeks. Naruto and Tsuchi looked at each other and looked again at the teenagers before exchanging a twisted smile that would put the Grinch to shame. You know, son, she doesn't have a boyfriend, said Tsuchi. Neither does Itachi and I have a girlfriend, Nei-chan, said Naruto. Itachi and I broke their trance and blushed redder than a tomato. Oh yeah, do you, by any chance, have kitsune-dan? Itachi said nervously. Why, yo, we do. I'll make it myself. Wait a minute, said before running to the back of the store to make the soup. Naruto and Tsuchi laughed at the teen's expenses, before Itachi realized Naruto had 10 empty ramen bowls before him by Kami. How long was I out of it? He said, making Tsuchi laugh harder. Only a minute or so, kid, but my boy Naruto here is a ramen vacuum, he said, patting Naruto in the head and smiling. That day Itachi decided that the occasion he would treat Naruto to ramen again would be rare, very rare indeed, though he would still go to the ramen stand to eat kitsune udon from time to time. Konoha, Hokage Tower. 1 hour later. Okay, Naruto-kun, enough with the laughter, Itachi said as they entered the Hokage's office. Sorry, Itachi and I, but both your faces were priceless when I shoved you and you kissed her. I swear Nei-chan won't wake up for a while, hee. The old man Tsuchi was laughing his ass off, Naruto said before running towards the Hokage and hugging him. Before anything, the old Hokage snapped his fingers and 4 Anbu appeared at his side. Leave us alone. This is a private matter, the Hokage said, and the Anbu disappeared in a swirl of leaves. He walked to the door and applied a silence jutsu. Now that this room is sealed from prying ears and eyes, Naruto, would you mind explaining me the real reason for your sudden petition for being trained? Naruto straightened himself before answering. Gigi, I died last night, literally, and I met Kamisama the Hokage, and Jounin present remained silent as Naruto explained the conversation he held with the deity the night before. You ain't kidding, aren't you, Naruto? They asked. The blonde shook his head slightly. She said I was to be the next god and the one that would help me would be the Kyuubi, and that she was inside me since I was born. That's how I knew about it, Naruto explained. The Hokage smoked a bit from his pipe. I see. Well, in that case I suppose it's best if we follow Kamisama's wishes, Itachi. I want you to take Naruto out of the village so he can try and make contact with the fox. If anything should happen, I trust you to take care of him. Don't hesitate to ask for help, alright? Itachi nodded. Hi Hokage-sama. Let's go, Naruto-kun, Itachi said as they stood and left through the door. Gigi. I want to talk to you later about my mother, Naruto said as he left. The Hokage looked through the window at the Hokage monument. So the next god, huh? I knew something grand was in Naruto's future, but who would have thought it would be this big? Any? Minato Kushina? He said with a smile and a sigh. Then he went to his desk and began his paperwork. Let's see. A petition to execute Naruto. Denied. He stamped it. A petition to exile Naruto. Denied. Sigh. I wish they stopped sending this crap. He stamped the paper again. A petition to adopt Naruto by the Inuzuka clan. Denied. Sigh. I wish I actually could approve this. He knew the council was against Naruto being adopted, even if some ninja clans like the Inuzuka, Nara, Akimichi, and Yamanaka asked monthly to adopt him. Even the Hyugas tried once in a year or so, but the majority of the council, namely the civilian part, opposed this. Naruto, if only I could, I would even adopt you myself. With a sigh, he went on continuing his paperwork. Konoha's main gate, the next day. Naruto-kun, are you ready? Itachi said as the little blonde walked up to him. Hi Itachi and I. Let's go. With a nod, Itachi moved towards the gate. Hey Itachi. What's going on? Haven't seen you around lately. If you're leaving the village, you need to tell me your reason for leaving and show me an ID. You know the drill. And did you know you have the little filth following you? Uchiha Shursui said, whispering the last part so Naruto wouldn't hear. Hello Shursui. Yes, I am aware that Naruto-kun is with me. I'm leaving the city to train him under orders of the Hokage. That's the reason, and as for ID and confirmation, here's the scroll with the Hokage's signature. Itachi said, emotionless. Even if inside he wanted to hit his best friend. No need, Itachi. Just go through the gate. Good luck with the baggage, Shursui said with an arrogant smirk. Itachi just went through the gates with Naruto and told him to climb his back. Naruto did so, and Itachi began jumping from branch to branch into the forest until they reached a small meadow a few miles from the village. Naruto-kun, this should be far enough. You can now try and contact the fox. Naruto nodded. I'll teach you how to meditate so you can enter your subconscious. Here, sit like I am. Naruto fell asleep a few times and grew too impatient other times, but finally he managed to concentrate and meditate correctly. Naruto felt as his body felt light, his breath clear, and the breeze soothing. He felt this way until his world faded to black. Naruto's mindscape. Naruto opened his eyes and noticed his surroundings had changed. He was in a sewer of some kind. The floor was wet and large pipes covered the roof. Naruto walked aimlessly around until he heard something. It resembled whimpering. What is that? The blonde followed the sounds until he came into a room unlike the rest. The room was enormous. The floor was drowned in about an inch of water, and the room hadn't pipes in it. But what caught his attention was the humongous cage in front of him. Large iron bars that appeared to be held together by a large piece of paper for the kanji 4 seal on it. That, and the crying girl behind it. Confused, he suddenly realized something. The air smells salty. And confirming his thoughts, he tasted the water he was standing in. They were tears. How long has she been crying? He was slightly afraid that she might tear him apart as he entered the bars, but after realizing she was crying, he thought, screw that. And he entered the bars and placed a hand on her shoulder. Hey, are you alright? He asked, and the girl yelped a little before quickly trashing her head to look at the source of the voice. Naruto was astounded. She was, in a word, beautiful. She looked only a bit older than him, a year or so. She had long crimson red hair, a pale complexion that gave her unearthly beauty, crimson-colored eyes that seemed to glitter. Even if her face was marked and reddened by crying, she only looked more angelic to him. Yet he also noted the fox-like red ears atop her head, the scar-like whiskers in her face resembling his own, and the 9 red tails trashing around behind her. She was clad in a red kimono with black lining and a black sash on her waist. She whimpered slightly before asking, are you Naruto? She said, sobbing. Naruto nodded, and she broke down crying again. I am sorry. So sorry, she cried. Naruto lost all logic and entered the cage to hold her whimpering form. Why are you crying? What are you apologizing for? He asked her. Because I'm the reason they hurt you, the reason they hate you and wounded you. I am the Kyuubi no Kitsune, and I'm so sorry for what I've caused you, she said, whimpering while being soothed by Naruto's hold. She was incredibly confused at his words. So what? He said. So what? You should be hating me, not holding me. She said harshly. I see no reason to. It wasn't your fault that they attacked me but their own. Plus you regret it, so I won't hold it against you. As for you being the Kyuubi, well, that much was obvious considering your assets, he said while lightly tracing her ears. She was shocked. How could he not hate her? After all he beatings and glares she saw from the few memories of his she had access to, he should be strangling her now. All feeling, however, were washed away as he traced her ears softly, and she began purring. Are you purring? He asked with a smile. Shut up. She said, lightly hitting him in the shoulder. All strain lifted from her voice. Naruto smiled. I have the feeling you don't know what has happened to me in the last 2 days, he said to her. Her ears flattened against her head as she looked down. Sorry, I usually see most of your memories but not all of them. It's generally something bad, so as long as I block them, she said. Kyubi-san, it's alright. Look at them, he said, holding her again. She was surprised but she said look at them. Please, he told her again. She thought about it and decided to look at his memories. She was expecting the same old terrible things that happened to him on his birthday, but she wasn't prepared for what went on in those memories. She was shocked. She was sealed inside the next deity, and she was supposed to guide him? Help him? Sure, she would have done so anyway, but the fact that it was under those circumstances made it seem unreal. Not that immensely powerful nine-tailed fox, who assumes the form of a 6-year-old human girl, who was sealed inside a boy, was any less of an incredible story. Nevertheless, it was hard to swallow. Wow, so the new deity, huh? She said. He nodded. I guess that makes me a god's trainer. I'm pretty darn cool. Then she grinned, and Naruto's sweat dropped. Not that being the demon overlord wasn't exciting. Mind you, by the way, what's with you being the demon overlord? Judging by your appearance, I'd say you're not much older than myself, unless you're like Kamine. Ageless? Naruto asked. Well, I am ageless, but I'm just about as old as I look. Rigth now. We demons are born full power, unlike humans, and since I was born the most powerful, I was named the demon overlord. After the 2 years in the palace, I was bored and frustrated though, so I came to explore the human realm. What I wasn't expecting though was running into a man in a weird black hooded cloak with red clouds in it, and spiral orange mask. I remember looking into his red eye, and then nada, zero, nothing. I only felt rage, and the next thing I knew I was inside you. The red-haired girl answered him. Well, that doesn't really explain a lot, but at least now I know you weren't attacking the village on purpose, Naruto said, giving a warm smile to the vixen. A small blush adorned her face. Only now realizing the position they were in, she stood up quickly and said, Hey! What the hell are you doing this side of the seal anyway? Weren't you scared I might kill you or something? She asked the blonde boy who was currently getting up from the floor. Well, the thought did cross my mind for about half a second, but when I saw you crying I said screw that, and rushed here, he said with a shrug. She was impressed. Not anyone dismissed their own safety for a crying girl who could very well be Satan herself. Well, Kit, either you have big balls or are an utter idiot. Anyway, I like you, she said, smiling. Anyway, do you know how to harness your chakra? He shook his head. Well, go back to the real world to ask Itachi to teach you how to. Then I want you to make this hand seal. She crossed her fingers in an all-familiar pattern. Then focus your chakra and yell Kagebunshin no Jutsu, shadow clone technique. I'll do the rest. Naruto nodded. Just a question. How do I return? Her lips curled into a mischievous smile. Look over there, Naruto. She pointed at the wall, and he promptly did as told. Before she hit him in the back of his head with a sandal and he poofed away. You just needed to break your concentration. She smiled, and then realizing her situation she said, by Kami. Speak about crying out a river. Back in the meadow with Itachi. Naruto opened his eyes slightly. Looking around he saw it was already dusk, which slightly surprised him since they left the gates at midday. He turned to see Itachi coming from the river with a bucket of fish, heading towards a small campfire before noticing his blonde friend awake. Naruto-kun. You're back, he said with a slight surprised look. You were out for about 4 hours, so I went ahead and prepared the campsite. What happened? Did you met the Kyubi? He asked. Naruto nodded. Yeah, I met her. She told me a few things. She told me to ask you if you could show me how to harness my chakra, Naruto said. Itachi prepared the grill and placed the fish in them before heading towards Naruto and standing before him. Very well, Naruto-kun, pay attention. First, you must know that chakra is power, created by mixing 3 types of energy inside you: your physical power, your mental power, and your will power. They circle through you and mix together through hand seals. This is the tiger seal and the most common for drawing out chakra. Try feeling the 3 energies within you and imagine them mixing in your stomach. Naruto nodded and did as he was told. He could feel all 3 of them and imagined mixing them. Now do you feel the energy that formed? Naruto nodded. Formed the seal I showed you. Naruto did so and formed the tiger hand seal. Now take that energy and release it. Imagine it as it envelopes you. Naruto did so, and he could feel the power flowing through him like a flame. Itachi was surprised Naruto had grasped the concept of chakra quickly and successfully released it for the first time at the first try, but what astounded him was the amount of chakra the boy emanated. It was like what a Jounin ninja released in mid-battle, and it was his chakra, not the fox's chakra but his. Itachi was slightly proud of him. He also noticed that Naruto's chakra itself was a sight to behold. Normal chakra was commonly blue, or green. If it was filtered enough, demonic chakra was known to be red according to data in the library, and other supernatural beings like summons had yellow chakra, but he had never seen purple chakra, less one so intense. Did I do it correctly, Itachi and I? Naruto knew he did it correctly, but he still wanted to ask him. At his nod, Naruto grinned widely. Cool. Hey, Kyubi-san told me to try this as soon as I could. Stand back a little. The Uchiha raised a brow but stepped back anyway. Naruto once again called on his chakra, this time much more quickly, and crossed his fingers in the hand seal the Kyubi had taught him. Itachi recognized the seal and watched carefully. Kagebunshin no Jutsu. Naruto shouted, and a column of white smoke surrounded him. When the smoke cleared, there stood before him the Kyuubi no Kitsune, in her full red-headed glory. Itachi raised an eyebrow at the new red-headed kid before him. She seemed to be just a bit older than Naruto, maybe a year or two. For a moment Itachi wondered if this was the Kyuubi no Kitsune. Nah, I doubt it, he thought with a shrug. Then the girl spoke. Holy shit. That was fast, Naruto. You kick ass, she said before launching herself towards the slack-jawed blonde, in a bone-crushing hug. And Nani? How? The blonde stuttered a bit. This is a Kage Bunshin Naruto, a clone with a physical body. I just mixed a bit of my chakra with my consciousness in the batch you used to create it, and then hinged it into this form. I can't believe it worked though, I was kinda making shit up on my way, she said. Naruto was slightly confused but shrugged it off anyway. Oh well, at least now you can train me better than in my mind. Beneheim, Naruto said. Ugh. I hate that title, Beneheim Kyuubi etc. That's the reason I ran from the demon realm. I can't stand much formality. Damn it, even my dad called me by title. Just call me by my name, Naruto. My real name, Rei. Akaisora Rei, she said, and Naruto nodded then grinned. Okay, Rei-chan. At this Itachi perked up slightly, but while he kept a calm exterior, inside he was laughing his ass off. Wait, ha ha ha, this is the Kyuubi no Kitsune? What kind of supreme evil being takes the disguise of an innocent little girl, ha ha ha. Anyway, Naruto-kun, now that I'm out here it's time to begin your training, she said in a sickly sweet voice, completely ruined by the malicious aura that emanated from her, and the evil smirk she adopted afterwards. Both males visually gulped at this. Oh shit, Naruto kept saying in his mind, shudder poor Naruto-kun, I take pity on your poor fucked up soul, my little friend, oh Uchiha Itachi. Naruto, Rei! Screamed Uchiha Itachi as he chased, kunai in hand, a laughing blonde and his red-headed companion. Come back here. Damn it! He screamed again as they hid themselves in the woods. Ha ha ha, that was awesome. I can't believe we managed to do that, Rei. Laughed Naruto. I told you, didn't I? Just stay with me and we can pull some kick-ass pranks. Answered Rei. Itachi's hair won't return to normal for a while, he Naruto said with his grin. That's a special seal I designed a while ago. Until we remove it he will have crimson hair, Rei said with a grin of her own. They had successfully hid amongst the woods and could still hear Itachi fuming on his new hair color. Naruto had found a great friend in Rei, even though she kept driving him to the bone in his physical training. Quite literally, Itachi had kept teaching him about chakra and hand seals, even teaching him a basic academy jutsus, kawarini, which he would regret later when Naruto used it to pull pranks on him. Hey Rei, if you don't mind me asking you, how is your life? You know, inside my head, Naruto asked, scratching his cheek. Well, to be honest, there's not much space in there, I resent that. Interrupted Naruto, to which Rei laughed a bit. Haha, no really, it's because of the seal. The cage is small so it'd be uncomfortable to be in my fox form, so I take this one. Tough still, it's not very spacious. And your head is creepy. Naruto groaned a bit but then got an idea. Hey Rei-san, I think I got an idea. What is it, Naruto? He used his foxy grin and proceeded to dispel Rei's clone and meditated, like Itachi had taught him. After a while he was in the all-familiar sewers of his mind. Now the cage is around here, he said as he reached the cage and its prisoner. Naruto, what is the meaning of this? Why did you dispel me and why are you here? Asked the girl in the cage as a smiling approached the paper in the gate. The paper was about his size and had the kanji for seal written in red. Naruto's sweat dropped at this. This is the seal the fourth designed? All that spiraling mumbo-jumbo in my body so that he could put a piece of paper like this in my head? He's an idiot. At least he should have written it in orange. Look who's talking, mumbled the redhead. Now can you tell me what are you trying to pull here? Naruto simply smiled and said, what a coincidental word, pull. That is, before Rei could know what he was talking about, Naruto grabbed the corner of the paper and pulled it off the gate. Naruto. No! Rei screamed before she fell unconscious. Her last sight was Naruto being hit by a large wave of red chakra. Unknown location. Where am I? Groaned Rei as she woke up holding her head. Half a second passed before she realized something. Naruto! Where are you, Naruto? She asked, concerned. Naruto. She frantically looked around in the strange forest. Rest assured, Akaisora-san, Naruto-kun is alright, and so are you. A soothing voice boomed around her, the voice sounding terribly familiar to her, yet she couldn't place it. Who is it? Where are you? She screamed before the voice answered gladly. Beneheim Kitsune, said the voice, and suddenly the landscape around her changed. A meadow formed before her, and in a blinding light over a rock appeared before her a feminine figure with golden/blue wings and icy blue eyes. Kami-sama, Rei said before she bowed at her, but Kami shook her head slightly with a small laugh. There's no need to bow before me, princess. I should be the one bowing at you in gratitude, for you're the one who is looking after my precious heir, Kami said, smiling. Kami then turned serious with a regal posture that suited her. I am here to explain you what happened. Rei nodded. She was curious as to what happened, so she placed attention in her words. Naruto heard you mutter about the piece of paper that was the real seal inside his mid, and he got an idea. He knew breaking a seal could unstabilize it and bring about the destruction of involved parts. But he thought that if he could just remove it, instead of breaking it, nothing would happen, and in theory, it was right. However, the amount of chakra that you had hit him as soon as he removed the seal, and it knocked him conscious, and you unconscious. How did Naruto learn about seals like that? And how could he come up with the resolve of such a risky action if it's because of that he did it like that? Interrupted Kami. He knew you'd be too worried it would fail and wouldn't let him do it. The knowledge came to him in a flash, which is a random flash of knowledge from either this or another world and time. It happened to him in the form of dreams before. But now, since he unlocked his chakra, he has them while conscious. The flash this time contained basic knowledge of sealing. And he taught about the rest. He's a smart child. Please take care of him, princess. Now I think someone is calling you, she said, and the forest world faded to black. Yamada Forest, 4 miles south of Konoha's main gate. She regained consciousness, and light looked so bright she could barely see a shadow above her and sounded something in the background. Ai-chan. It sounded again stronger and clearer, as the shadow turned into a spiky silhouette. Ray-chan. It's Naruto's voice. Ray thought and blinked to adjust to the light. Before her was Naruto, his expression full of relief. Ray-chan, he said before hugging her closer, which brought a red tint to her cheeks. I'm so glad you're okay. I was so worried. Then Ray remembered something. Naruto-kun, she whispered on his ear in that sweetly evil voice that made Naruto break in cold sweat, and his eyes widened, feeling his impending doom. What the hell were you thinking, you moron? She said before throwing Naruto against a rock with a flick to the forehead. Itachi, who was besides them, hair still red, widened his eyes like a cartoon before trying to restrain Ray. Wait, Akai-sora-san. Don't hurt Naruto. He can't heal like before, he quickly said before Ray broke away from his hold. What do you mean he can't heal? She asked Itachi. Exactly what I said. You're not inside him anymore. Your chakra can't heal him like before. Everything was silent for a second before crap. Naruto. Ray moved faster that Itachi could see. In half a blink, she was by Naruto applying healing jutsu on him. It's okay, Ray-chan, I'm fine. Just a little less indestructible than before, he said, Naruto shrugging with his foxy grin. Ray let out a grunt, and once he was healed she hit him lightly on the shoulder. They laughed a bit before nightfall and Naruto went to sleep. So you're free now? Asked Itachi, who brought some branches for the fire. Yes, it appears Naruto's stunt earlier did work. I'm out of the seal and he lost every bit of my chakra and its healing benefits, she said, eyeing a little scar in Naruto's arm. Itachi sighed. This is gonna be a pain to explain to the Hokage. Besides, how are we gonna take him to the village now? I mean, he won't heal, so the villagers will try to harm him. And they'll be successful this time. And if you try to protect him, well, no offense, but you'd probably end up blowing Konoha to bits, he explained. None taken. You're right, I would probably leave Konoha in pieces. She began to think until she got an idea. That's it. It might work. She exclaimed. What might work? Asked Itachi. If I can pump some of my demonic chakra back into Naruto, I could reactivate the part of him that healed his wounds, and I could boost his own chakra. But it would be hard. First, I'd have to pump about 3 taels in power for his body to recognize the chakra. We'll need a barrier and an open field, Ray clarified. The grasslands are nearby, about an hour east. That should work for open space. But for the barrier, I will make the barrier, don't worry about that. Still, I'll need you to keep watch so no one interrupts. Itachi nodded. Don't worry, I will keep you and Naruto-kun undisturbed with my Sharingan, Itachi said while activating his Dijitsu to emphasize his point. Ray paled. Those eyes read the same. Itachi raised a brow. What? He asked. Those are the same red eyes I saw the night before I was inside Naruto, she said with her eyes wide. What? Then what you saw was a Sharingan. That means an Uchiha was responsible for. No, who would? I must investigate this. Akai-sora-san, did you saw anything else the man had so I could identify him, he asked. Only what I told you, the orange swirling mask, the black cloak with red clouds, and his eyes changed a bit before everything went black. Changed. How? Wait, the Mangekyo Sharingan. But of course I thought it was a myth. But if it's true, then someone who possesses that might actually be capable of putting the Kyuubi in a genjutsu. Then no, I must remain calm and investigate this thoroughly anyway. Back to Naruto, I'll make sure no one disturbs you in the process. Ray just nodded, thinking it was better to leave Itachi handle his affairs. One thing though, when it's done, Naruto will most likely remain unconscious for a couple of days, so we might stay here a bit longer. Itachi nodded. It's okay. The Hokage told me to take as long as necessary. I'll help Naruto, though I would prefer going back sooner so I can investigate. Tomorrow's a big day, then you should rest. Then Itachi, what about you, Akai-sora-san? Oh, don't be foolish, us demons don't need to sleep, we just do it to spend time on board. Okay then, good night. Itachi went to his tent. Ray then moved inside Naruto's tent and whispered, tomorrow is a big day. Thank you for freeing me, Naruto, and I'll protect you forever. And us fox demons never go back on our word. She kissed Naruto in the cheek and went outside again to mount guard. That night Naruto had very sweet dreams that included his red-headed friend. Naruto was awoken by Itachi at dawn. Itachi and I, long yawn. Good morning, what's up? Naruto asked his brother figure at seeing him slightly worried. Itachi shook his head and smiled. It's nothing, Naruto-kun. Today idea big day, we're gonna try something that might make you a lot stronger. Would you like that? Itachi said, knowing well how to handle his little blonde friend. Cool. Are you gonna teach me a jutsu or something cool? I wanna spit fire like an Ai-san. Naruto said, exited, every last trace of his sleepiness forgotten by the prospect of becoming stronger. Itachi smiled at Naruto's reaction before saying, no, Naruto, I'm not teaching you anything. It's a little experiment Akai-Sora-san wants to try with you, and if you want I can teach you how to spit fire like me later. Naruto's grin became huge and said, cool. Where's Rei-chan? I want to ask her what do I have to do? Naruto said as he, at lightning speed, put on his clothes and stepped out of the tent before Itachi could even answer. Naruto found Rei by the fire eating some roasted bunny morning sleepyhead. Pleasant dream? Rei said with a knowing smile. She took another dish and threw in it a piece of rabbit and tossed it to Naruto, who caught it with some difficulty. Yep. Pretty cool one. Though I can't remember it anymore. Naruto said with a big smile. Rei and Itachi, who just came with a scroll in hand, sweat dropped at Naruto's carefree attitude. Ladies and gentlemen, Naruto Uzumaki, for you thought Rei and Itachi anyways. Rei-chan, what are you gonna do later to make me stronger? What must I do? Is it some super secret training or something that cool? Naruto said expectantly. Rei smiled and said, actually I'm gonna give you some of my chakra so you can heal as fast as before, plus have some of it. She stood up and walked, followed by Itachi after he put off the fire. Naruto's eyes widened before standing up. Your chakra? Then I'm gonna be super strong and super powered like you. And I'm gonna be super cool like you too. Yay! Said Naruto as he followed them while eating the meat. But where are we going? Rei's cheeks took on a slight pink tinge due to Naruto's compliments, but nevertheless said, not that much, Naruto-kun. Just enough so you can heal like before, maybe a bit faster, she said, slowing down to Naruto's walking speed and walked besides him. And we are going to the grasslands because we'll need a big open space to do what is necessary, she said. Itachi could swear he heard something click in Naruto's head. He suddenly thought, hey, since when I'm Naruto-kun? You don't call me that unless you're angry, he asked Rei, to which her only response was a shrug followed by, since I became Rei-chan and I don't call you that just when I'm angry, I just do it sweetly, which satisfies my psychotic side. This seemed to satisfy Naruto, for he just shrugged and kept devouring the piece of rabbit in his hand. Itachi smiled a little at his little brother and made a small prayer, not only for Naruto's life to be happy from now on, but also so his own brother Sasuke would turn out like Naruto. After an hour or two of walking in near silence, due to Naruto's random comments and questions about what was gonna happen, they finally reached the grasslands and Itachi stayed behind. Rei dragged Naruto farther so Itachi was barely visible from the distance. She toddled Naruto to lay on the floor. Naruto complied quickly, and once he was set he asked, Rei-chan, is this gonna hurt you? I mean, I will be taking your chakra, he asked, slightly concerned. This took the demoness by surprise. No one seemed concerned about her before coming to the human realm. She briefly remembered when Naruto had hugged her on his mind, when he seemed to forgive her for everything, when he set her free, or how he called her name when she was unconscious, how he seemed to held her in such high regards, how she enjoyed playing with him, and pranking Itachi too. The demoness shed a little tear and smiled warmly. No, Naruto, it won't hurt me, though it will make me slightly dizzy by the time it's over. It will be nothing that a good night's sleep won't heal. Naruto watched Rei's warm smile and got amazed at how she seemed to glow much brighter. He noted the small tear in her eye, and for half a second he thought something might be wrong. Before he remembered the time he saw her smile on his mind, the tears she had in the end were tears of happiness, and they only made her glow that much more. He knew that this was a happy tear, and silently swore that he'd find a way to make her smile like this again someday. Yep, Rei-chan, no doubt about it, you're one of my precious people now. Now, Naruto, I'll need you to be unconscious, so, good night, Rei said before knocking him out with one of her tails. Then she began chanting in some strange language, before forming a tiger hand seal. Onipa, Rokuchitin Kekai. She screamed and a hexagon formed in the ground. It grew in size until it was wide as a small house and covered both her and Naruto. Then a red transparent wall enclosed them from the hexagon's base. Okay, the barrier is set. Now the hard part, she said as she prickled her finger with one of her fangs and drew in blood some strange symbols in Naruto's forehead and her right hand. Okay, here goes nothing. Onipa, Chakra Tenai no Jutsu. She put her palm facing Naruto as red chakra began to pour from the drawings in it and entered Naruto's forehead via said drawings. Okay, everything is going well so far. Now all that's left is to wait for the chakra to what's going on? What's this? Itachi sat at the edge of the forest, having overlooking the procedure in front of him and making sure no one came nearby, but his attention got diverted when something strange happened in the ritual in front of him. He observed as the transparent red hexagonal barrier turned a solid crimson color. He worriedly rushed towards the half polyhedron shield but stopped about 10 feet from it. Thinking it twice, he decided to try something. He pulled out a kunai and threw it towards the tip of the barrier. Not much surprised when the kunai disintegrated as it touched the shield. Itachi stood there trying to figure out what to do, but his musings were interrupted as the barrier changed its color from crimson to purple. What is going on? The teen wondered on the color change before hearing a certain crack. What the? Crack, crack. As more cracking noises appeared, he turned on his Sharingan to look at the barrier. Then he noticed that the shield was cracking under whatever force it was containing. Itachi's eyes grew wide and he did the first thing that his logic dictated. He ran like hell. Good he did though, for as soon as he reached a certain distance a last loud crack sounded as the shield came apart. A huge blast of purple energy filled the sky as the violet fire blew mightily in place. The flames and lightning sparks of different shades of purple formed into the colossal shape of a nine-tailed fox. The gargantuan fox then roared powerfully once and suddenly dissipated into thin air. Itachi was in the floor wide-eyed with a rather long list of curses in his mind to refer to his situation, but merely formed "what the fuck" with actual words. He shook his head and tried to calm himself. Then with as much speed as he could muster he went to see what had been of Naruto and Rei. When he came closer to the site where the shield once stood he noticed something. A 250 feet wide smoking crater was there with a sleeping Naruto in the middle and a wide-eyed, slack-jawed Akai Sora Rei stuttering beside him. He approached them both and after checking Naruto was indeed physically fine he asked the demoness. Rei-san, what the hell just happened? What happened to Naruto, and what was that purple fox? Itachi demanded though. Rei noted he did it not angrily or meanly, rather, out of concern of the blonde sunshine. Naruto, he just I don't know. She said I really don't know how to explain what happened, she said. Itachi calmed himself a bit, and turned serious. Tell me as best as you can. At her nod he sat to empathize that he'd listed carefully. Well, at first everything was going well. Naruto had already absorbed about a tail and half of power when well it's hard to describe what he did. She paused for a moment. He stopped taking the chakra completely. Instead he seemed to analyze it, if not consciously, then subconsciously. Then he didn't copy my chakra, that's for sure, it felt his. What I'm trying to say is he made his own chakra in the image of my own. He has right now about as much chakra if not a bit more than I have, and equally as strong. It's impossible, whispered Itachi. Rei nodded. Yes, impossible, yet it happened. I don't know why, but right now, in raw power Naruto is as strong or stronger than I am. This left Itachi slack-jawed. He then turned to see Naruto, who had just stirred. Yawning big, Naruto opened his eyes and the first thing he saw was Rei and Itachi looking at him oddly. What? Is something on my face? He said, scratching his whiskers. Rei then shook her head and looked straight at him, narrowing her eyes a little. You have no idea of what you just did, do you? She said, making Naruto get slightly worried. And no, why? Did I do something wrong? Oh no! I screwed up the thing, right? Darn! Are you fine, Rei-chan? Itachi Nizan? He asked, but Rei shook her head again. No, Naruto-kun, we're fine, and the jutsu did its thing too. A bit too much fine if you asked me. What happened? It's what you did. What do we call it, Itachi? She turned to look at the Uchiha. How about copy? He suggested. Nah, I already told you it wasn't a copy. She dismissed the idea. He took it first. So how about absorption? She said. No, it was not just absorption, he made it his own too. So how about assimilation? He suggested again. That does sound right. Okay, we'll stick with assimilation, she said, and the Uchiha teen nodded. You assimilated my chakra, Naruto. You took my chakra, copied it, and made it your own, and frankly I have not the slightest idea how you did it. Hell, I didn't even know it was possible. Rei said, to which Naruto's eyes widened a bit. I asked me what? He asked, slack-jawed. You did. You have as much chakra as me and it's as strong as mine, Rei exclaimed. Itachi nodded after turning his Sharingan on to effectively see Naruto's chakra. It was simply overwhelming. They were actually inside Naruto's chakra as if he was a giant fireball blazing to the skies. And Naruto-kun, your chakra, it's so big and intense I can hardly see it with my Sharingan. Ag. Itachi said as he suddenly turned it off. It's like looking to the sun, too intense, so stare at. Is this how your chakra is too, Akai Sora-san? Rei looked at him for a second. If you mean the intensity, then yes, it's just as intense, but my chakra is different. Mine is demonic chakra, it's heavy and slightly cold, that's why I suppress it. But Naruto's actually feels the opposite. Warm and lightly, yet also strong and invigorating. Then something crossed her mind. She stared at Itachi for a bit before narrowing her eyes in thoughtfulness. Nah, Itachi, can I try something? What? Asked the Uchiha, rubbing his eyes. I want to try something for a theory. Can you activate your Sharingan for a bit? She asked him, to which Itachi seemed to think for a second. After seeing no reason not to, he just nodded and closed his eyes. Sharingan. He opened them again and the familiar red iris and 3 swirling tomo appeared. Now, Naruto-kun, I want you to touch Itachi's forehead, Rei said. Naruto nodded and did so. Good, now, concentrate on his Sharingan. Tried to visualize it. To see it, Naruto breathed in concentration as he did as told, then he nodded slightly. Good, now try to imagine yourself with them. Naruto raised an eyebrow and so did Itachi, but then he nodded nonetheless and concentrated again. He nodded to signal he was finished. Good, now remain like that for a while. At first Itachi had reluctantly accepted to do this, so he activated his Sharingan, and at seeing Naruto's chakra again he closed his eyes but left the Sharingan active as requested. He tried to meditate a bit when he felt Naruto's fingers against his forehead. He thought this ironic since it's the same motion he did with his actual brother Sasuke, before his father had convinced him of following the true Uchiha path, or the pig-headed, smug, self-centered bastard path as he secretly called it. He briefly wondered if Sasuke would be able to revert back to a nice kid if he met Naruto. Then he felt strange, as if someone or something was staring him in the eyes directly, as if analyzing him. This put Itachi slightly on edge, then it stopped, but not in the way you imagine. No, he felt as if someone had ripped his eyes off, but it was painless, actually soothing, as if whatever it was had used some tranquilizer before gorging his eyeballs out with a smooth spoon. Not a nice description, but still it felt that way. Then it felt as if it had returned his eyes and the numbness had gone, as if nothing had happened at all. Itachi would have flicked this as a trick from his mid had his eyes not felt slightly dizzy. Now Naruto, Itachi, that's all, you both can open your eyes now, Rei said, and both Naruto and Itachi did so, though not before Itachi deactivated his Kekkei Genkai. Now that that's over, Naruto, I want you to concentrate on your eyes and the feeling you got at thinking in Itachi's eyes. Naruto raised a brow and was about to retort to her but shrugged it off and did as told. Now say it, that which is in your mind, said Rei expectantly. Naruto felt slightly weird, but then a word came to his mind as if it almost wanted to be said. It was Shitekugan, he said as he opened his eyes only to see something that shocked him as both Rei and Itachi gasped. His eyes looked almost like a Sharingan, but it was purple, and instead of 3 commas he had 4 little rhombus arranged in a crosshair pattern across his iris. Naruto could see the crosshair too, in his sight. He wanted to know what was going on and he asked Rei that. I think that you have something that shouldn't exist, Naruto. You have the ability to assimilate anything, and that seems to include Kekkei Genkai, she said, breathless. By Kami, whispered Itachi at seeing the strange Sharingan in Naruto's eyes. Itachi, I think we'll stay behind a bit more to check on what Naruto can do now and see if we can help him suppressing all that power, Rei said, and Itachi nodded. Screw the investigation on the mysterious Uchiha, this is much more interesting. Naruto-kun, can the word impossible even be used around you? Thought Uchiha Itachi, looking forward to see this new Sharingan in action. Uzumaki Naruto was currently in a small area besides a rocky cliff with a small spring at the side and some trees in sight. They have moved here after Naruto activated his Shitekugan for various reasons. One was because the area in which they were was leveled down, and it hardly offered anything to take some training. The second one was because after the amount of power released in there would be no doubt that someone would send ninja to investigate, be that Konoha, or an enemy village, or even some wandering thieves or missing nin would eventually come to investigate. There would be hardly any problem to deal with, but still fighting them would be a nuisance. The third reason, however, was more akin to a test. Yes, a test drive to properly see the capabilities of Naruto's newfound Dijutsu, one he developed after assimilating Itachi's Sharingan. Naruto had previously been tested by Rei in a taijutsu spar. Since Naruto had no taijutsu stance whatsoever, the demon princess refrained from using one herself, limiting herself to a sloppy brawling style that held no supernatural strength on her punches. The reason for the first test was because Itachi and Rei wanted to see just what were the difference or similarities were between the Sharingan and Naruto's Shitekugan. When Naruto effectively dodged all of Rei's punches, it was made clear that at the very least the quicker reflexes provided by the Sharingan were still present in the Shitekugan, although it appeared not as sharp, seeing Naruto barely dodge the redhead's assault. Still, it was time for the test on the copy ability, since all of Rei's jutsus were apparently demonic jutsus which were impossible to copy with a Sharingan due to the intensity of dark chakra and near impossible for a human to perform. So they decided a simpler jutsu like a katan, Enden would be better for a test. Okay, Naruto-kun, please try and do what Itachi is about to do, asked Rei as Naruto nodded and proceeded to activate his Dijutsu. Now, Itachi, if you will, she said, and Itachi nodded. Itachi went through a series of hand seals and finally ending in the tiger seal, he shoot a single fireball from his mouth which impacted on a rock. Simple enough. Though, however simple the jutsu was, in Naruto's eyes a completely different story was occurring. The first thing that happened was that the crosshair in his line of vision automatically fixated in the hand seals Itachi was forming. Then a lot of information flooded Naruto's brain, from the meaning of each sign to the amount of chakra and the way in which it was released through it. Then as the chakra settled, the crosshair immediately moved to Itachi's mouth and in slow motion saw as he inhaled air and through chakra transmuted into fire-type energy, inflamed the oxygen molecules in the air, thus creating fire. As the fire was expelled from Itachi's mouth, the crosshair moved once again onto the fireball, and he saw the chakra solidify into a single mass of flames which kept burning the oxygen in its path. The crosshair finally moved into the target rock and analyzed its composition before and after the impact of the fireball, and the effects said fireball had on its surroundings. After the load of information was sent to Naruto's brain, a new batch of information appeared on how to do the jutsu even more effective by properly controlling the amount and intensity of the chakra burned. For example, using less chakra but more concentrated, he foresaw the fireball burning longer and bigger, thus reaching farther targets or hitting closer ones with more intensity. With all this information in his head, Naruto proceeded to use the modified hand seals his Shitekigen told him to use and proceeded to do the jutsu. Katon Enden! He finally shouted, and the intense fireball was then produced from his mouth. The fireball traveled the same distance before hitting the same rock that the previous jutsu had hit. However, this time the rock cracked under the pressure of the hit. Rei and Itachi's eyes were effectively the size of dishes, seeing how Itachi's jutsu had not only been copied but also refined. Impossible. The Sharingan can't do that. It can only copy a jutsu's procedure. It doesn't give experience enough to take the jutsu to the same level as the original one, much less top it. Itachi began but then reconsidered his words. But then again, impossible seems like a word that can't exist near you, Naruto-kun, he wondered more calmly, and Rei nodded, agreeing with him. Naruto grinned widely. Hee, of course, Nii-san. I am the most surprising kid in the world, Naruto exclaimed excitedly, slightly puffing his chest. Itachi smiled at this and Rei laughed a bit. That you are, Naruto-kun. Indeed you are, exclaimed Rei, still giggling. Itachi and Rei turned serious after a breath. So what do you think, Itachi? Asked the demoness. Itachi seemed to think for a second before answering. If I had to give a solid opinion, I'd say it's more likely a ranged version of his assimilation ability but concentrated on jutsus. At least that's as far as I can tell from that. It might be able to assimilate other Kekkei Jinkais, but it's impossible to confirm this right now, he said. That's what I though too, said the redhead. Since it's impossible to determine whether it can assimilate bloodline limits right now, let's move on to the next test. What other ability is there in the Sharingan? Rei asked Itachi. Itachi wondered for a second. There's its ability to see chakra and to see through and cast genjutsus. And that's about it actually, he said. I suppose we should try and see if he can see chakra, he said lastly. You're right, Naruto-kun, tell me, how do you see us? She turned to ask Naruto, who seemed to snap out of some deep thoughts. Wow, right, well, I see both of you the same I did before the eyes, well, with the exception of the crosshair, explained Naruto. He then seemed to fade into his own thoughts once again. Perhaps he doesn't possess the chakra view, like the Sharingan, offered Itachi. No, I have a feeling that he does, but maybe his view is different. She thought for a second, and suddenly an idea hit her. That could be it. She exclaimed, Itachi, get behind that rock. She pointed to a rock wall that sticked out, formed the risk. Itachi moved behind it so he was out of sight from the two kids, sighing silently to himself. I swear that she thinks of me as a lab rat. Here I am, an experiment again. Rei looked at Naruto and placed a low-level genjutsu in the area so he couldn't see. Then she broke him from his thoughts. Hey Naruto-kun, try to see where Itachi is, she told the blonde. Itachi? Naruto looked around until he saw an humanoid figure behind a rock wall. There he is. Whoa! How did I do that? Naruto asked, looking at a hiding Itachi. Impressive, not only did you locate Itachi but you completely oversaw my genjutsu. Those eyes of yours are something, alright, she said before walking towards Naruto and planting a kiss on his cheek, which got a red tint to the ex-Jinchuriki's cheeks. She then shouted, Itachi, you can come out now, she said, and turned to see Itachi coming from behind the rocks. Guess what? I figured how Naruto's vision works. And how is that, Akaisora-san? Asked Itachi, raising a brow. It displays his sight as it normally does, but when there's an obstacle before him, be it genjutsu or physical obstruction, he sees through these and looks at the chakra source, right, Naruto? Naruto nodded. Yes, Rei-chan. After you told me to look for him, I turned around and saw his silhouette behind the rocks. A silhouette? Then your chakra vision is more detailed than the Sharingan's. Ours can only see a disembodied flame. Yours saw the silhouette, said Itachi, then wondered for a second. So your Shitekigen seems to be a Sharingan specialized in your assimilation power. He must. Rei nodded. It appears so. Boy, are you something. Naruto-kun, she said with a smile which was passed into Itachi and Naruto. I wonder if I'll be able to assimilate any more bloodline limits, said Naruto. Then he wondered for a bit. Who knows, maybe you will, maybe you won't. Only Cammy knows for sure, and she didn't tell me about this the other day, said Rei with a shrug. Well, since we more or less figure Naruto's abilities, I believe we should head back to Konoha. There are some things I need to discuss with the Hokage, and he might just strangle me for the paperwork he'll end up with, Itachi said. He then stood up and filled 3 canteens in the spring and threw one at Ray and the other to Naruto. We should head back if we want to make it by tomorrow morning, he said, strapping his own canteen to his pants and pocketing the scroll with the tent sealed in it in the small backpack he carried. Naruto and Ray did the same with their canteens and followed Itachi towards Konoha. Naruto wanted to see the old man and was looking forward to scare the crap out of him with all that took place during his small venture outside the village. -6 hours later, 2 miles from Konoha's main gate. I think we should camp here, Naruto said the redhead to the blonde. Huh, why? Aren't we close enough to Konoha? We could reach it tonight rather than tomorrow, the Naruto questioned. Not before dawn, Naruto-kun, and unlike both of you, I actually do get tired, and I'll need to be refreshed to deliver the details of what we did to Lord Hokage. Moreover, it will be better if we don't arrive to explain everything to him in the middle of the night, said Itachi. Yeah, Naruto-kun, just have patience, said Ray, putting a hand on his shoulder and smiling warmly at him. Naruto nodded then, but then thought about something. Actually, since we are waiting and I've no desire to sleep at all, I think I'm going to do something. Itachi and I, did you by chance brought anything to write? Itachi raised a brow slightly. Yes, Naruto-kun. He took a blank scroll from the backpack and some ink and a brush. Here you go. Why do you want it? He asked Naruto after handing them to him. Oh, I just want to write some things down. I had a flash a while ago and want to write some things down, Naruto answered, and both Itachi and Ray's mouths turned into a small O. Ray explained Itachi about the flashes. Ah, so that's what kept him distant a while ago, thought Ray, who shrugged before unsealing both hers and Naruto's tents. Itachi doing the same after preparing some traps in case of either bandits or animals bigger than a rabbit. Ray entered her tent, which contained a large, fluffy red-sheeted bed and a small red nightstand with a picture of a smiling Naruto over it. Don't ask where she got it. Man, what a development. Really, Naruto being deity, him releasing me, then he getting enough chakra to compete with my own, which is no easy feat, if possible at all, and even him creating his own bloodline limit. Just what is Naruto's limit? And speaking of limits, I probably should teach him tomorrow morning how to control his chakra output, or he's gonna fry Itachi's eyes next time he uses his Sharingan. She smiled warmly and grabbed a pillow, hugging it, and the best part, he doesn't hate me at all. She hugged the pillow tightly. Thank you, Naruto-kun, for everything so far. Meanwhile, in Naruto's tent, Naruto was currently writing and drawing something in the scroll Itachi gave him that was pretty interesting. The contents of that flash: if what Ray-chan told me about my strange dreams being real is truth, then those things I dreamed with can actually be done. This is just wicked. I must write it down so I can do that later, said the blonde as he kept furiously scribbling on the scroll. After he finished the writing, he yawned lightly. Well, I guess I should hit the sack. He stood from the small desk and prepared his futon and prepared to sleep. Yawn. I wish I can actually build those things. That would simply be wicked. Tomorrow, when we reach Konoha, I'll ask Aji-san if he can help me build them. With that last thought, Naruto's world faded to black into his sleep. Naruto-kun? For Kami's good grace, Naruto, you sleep like a rock, said Ray as she nudged and kicked Naruto awake. She kept trying to wake him and failing. Fetting up, she bent downwards to try and drag him to a standing position, which totally backfired when instead of moving Naruto, she fell into his arms only to be used as a hugging pillow. This left her face the same shade her hair was. Figuring that if she was waist deep in water, she thought a little deeper couldn't hurt her, so she did the only thing she could think of. Right then, she cuddled up with our favorite blonde. It was to this sight that Itachi walked into while trying to help Ray wake up Naruto. Ray had no idea of how or where he got it, but Itachi had somehow gotten a digital camera and snapped a few shots before mumbling with a smirk something that suspiciously sounded like blackmail. KH. It came to no surprise when Naruto found himself instantly awake as a high-pitched scream was emitted on his ear and an irate Ray chased after a smirking Itachi who was sealing something in his arm. What the heck? Isn't normally Itachi who is chasing us? Did Itachi and I-san finally snapped and took revenge? The confused blonde asked. Shut up and help Naruto. Itachi got something that must disappear, and trust me when I say it is of our mutual benefit that we see it is properly burned to the ground, she said with a strange mix between a blush and an irate face. Naruto shrugged and said whatever it is, we could always find ways to persuade him from using that, mainly something that includes pink dye and the market of Konoha. Wahahaha. Naruto calmly started but got into a devilish whisper in the end with an equally impish smile. Ray's eyes became thoughtful for a second and she stopped her chase of the Uchiha before she too began her little evil laugh. Kai ha ha ha, true Naruto-kun. Ooh, I love that mischievous side of yours, she finished with a laugh just as evil which made the Uchiha brack in cold sweat. Matt, Naruto-kun, why don't we solve this peacefully? I swear never to use that as blackmail ever, said Itachi, well aware of the evil mastermind that was Naruto when it came to pranks, added with the trickster ways of Rei, and the memory of bright red hair, and those evil slippers. To say he was scared was an understatement. Why not? I don't really know what it was, but if he promises never to use it against us, I mean, what could be the problem? Rei-chan, Naruto said, reverting to his carefree self. Rei blushed a bit, but seeing as there was no way out of this without Naruto finding out the little snuggle, she decided to let it go, making a mental note to buy a lot of pink dye, just for insurance, of course. Fine. But you better keep your word, you damn weasel, she eyed Itachi, who nodded. Anyways, Naruto-kun, come with me, I'm gonna teach you how to suppress your chakra at least to a bearable level. That morning Naruto practiced with Rei how to minimize his chakra output. As they walked towards Konoha, he took to manipulating his chakra like a fish to water. However hard it was with his gargantuan levels, he managed to shrink them to low Chunin level, high Genin at most. It was slightly outstanding, but with some practice he would eventually hide his chakra perfectly. It was midday when Itachi and Ko finally reached Konoha's main gate, and they were greeted by the two perpetual Chunin, Kotetsu and Izumo. Yo Itachi! What's up, said Kotetsu as Izumo took out the registry board. Back from your mission? I thought you were supposed to take another 2 days? How's it going, Nero? Said Izumo as he high-fived the blonde while giving the board to Kotetsu. Hi Izumo-san, Kotetsu-san, said the blonde, giving them a grin. He had met the two doofus before, and he always found them funny and cool to chat with. They even appreciated the pranks he pulled on the ninjas and villagers. Hey! I had see you back there. Who's that, Naruto? Your girlfriend? Said Kotetsu in a teasing voice as he noted Rei, who was actually behind Naruto, grabbing his arm, action she used to actually suppress Naruto's chakra. Naruto and Rei flushed a bit and no. She's just a friend, both said at the same time. This brought a good laugh from both Chunin and a snicker from Itachi, who was signing the board. Well, all good to go, Itachi, just go give your report to the Hokage. See ya later, champ. And your girlfriend too, said Izumo as he waved off Naruto and Rei, who went following Itachi to the tower. Hokage Tower. 12 minutes later. Hiruzen Sarutobi was impassively waiting in his desk. He had received news from the gate that Itachi had returned with Naruto and some red-headed girl. He was very curious about what had happened, and who was this girl. He was so excited at first he nearly pulled a facial muzzle from the smile. I'm not that young anymore, he thought while rubbing his cheek. His thoughts were interrupted when the secretary spoke off the intercom. Hokage-sama, Uchiha Itachi-san is here to see you. He's accompanied by Uzumaki Naruto and another child named Akaisora Rei. Want me to let them in? The young voice of the secretary came over the speaker. Yes, let them in please, Otani-san, the Hokage said as he received an all right Hokage-sama in response. Itachi came into his office along Naruto and the redhead, now identified as Rei. They each took a seat and Itachi proceeded by clearing his throat. Yahem, Hokage-sama, I think it would be in our best interest if we seal this room and send the ANBU away, he said. The Hokage nodded and clapped once. 2 ANBU came out, one with a gopher mask, another one with a dog mask. Gopher, dog, leave us alone. ANC, activate the seal. Both ANBU nodded and went to leave the room. The dog masked ANBU waved to Naruto a bit and left. As soon as the doors closed, the walls and door glowed blue and returned to normal. The Hokage nodded and told Itachi to proceed. Hokage-sama, the mission was successful. Naruto managed to contact the nine-tailed fox under my supervision, but we have many things to tell you, he explained and proceeded to tell the Hokage of the events surrounding the mission. The Hokage passed through many phases, from fear to awe to shock and happiness, and many more. He hyperventilated when he heard about Naruto removing the seal and got shocked like a stone when he heard about Naruto's chakra, but he remained silent during the whole explanation. When Naruto activated the Shitekigen to show the Hokage, he got shocked again. Naruto deactivated it again, but something was wrong as his eyes remained purple. Naruto! Your eyes, said Rei, looking at the blonde. Said blonde got a confused look and asked what about them? The Hokage produced a mirror from a desk cabinet and handed it to him. What? He exclaimed at seeing his eyes a clear shade of purple. But I haven't the Shitekigen activated anymore, he said. Rei put her hand on Naruto's forehead and began glowing red. She concentrated for a bit before she opened her eyes. Strange, Naruto. Your DNA matches your eyes like you always had them purple. It's strange, but it has nothing to do with your Shitekigen. That is placed in a different chromosome. Oh well, if nothing can be done then it's fine. Then I do like this color, he said, looking himself in the mirror. Everyone's sweat dropped a bit before Rei nodded. Hiruzen wiped his forehead and said, Kami, Naruto, I swear you're gonna give me a stroke one of these days, with a smile. The blonde grinned. Oh, that's right. Gigi. Do you know anyone who could teach me build things of metal? he asked. The Hokage raised an eyebrow. You mean a blacksmith? Yes, actually, he got a card out of a desk cabinet. Higurashi Ryohei, the best weaponsmith in Konoha. Tell him you're sent by the Hokage and ask him whatever you want. The Hokage unsealed the room and opened the room. Dog-san, please take Naruto to the Higurashi weapon shop and take care of him, the Hokage said and handed the card to the ANBU. Hi Hokage-sama. Come on Naruto, let's go, said the ANBU to the blonde, who nodded. Rei left Naruto's arm, and as soon as she did it, both the Hokage and the ANBU could feel Naruto's chakra pressure a bit overwhelming and shocked them until Rei said to Naruto, Naruto-kun, you still need to work on your control, you're leaking Jounin level pressure. Oops, sorry Rei-chan, said the blonde before concentrating a bit and lowering his chakra levels to mid-high genin. Akai Sora-san, Itachi-san, please stay, I still need to go over some things with both of you, said the Hokage. Itachi whined and Rei whined a bit but nodded nevertheless. Naruto followed the ANBU outside and closed the doors. The Hokage sealed the room again and sat in his chair. Itachi-san, Akai Sora-san, would you kindly explain about this mysterious Uchiha, he said, and both nodded. It goes like this, explained Rei with the occasional nod and comments from Itachi. They explained to the Hokage. As I feared, Itachi-san, I've got something to say to you. I've received reports that say that the Uchiha clan is planning something behind our backs. I want you to investigate this, as it seems many Uchiha ninja are in this operation, including Councilman Fugaku. This is an S-class secret mission and I trust you'll keep it. Itachi's eyes widened at father. He thought for a second and remembered that many Uchiha were not totally happy with Konoha's system. He became preoccupied and finally answered Hokage. Hi Hokage-sama, I've noted Oswell something strange lately and wanted to investigate myself about certain clan issues. I accept the mission. Rei saw both older men and scratched her head. Since I've no idea what you guys are talking about, I'm gonna go find Naruto. She stood up and walked to the door. Wait, Akai Sora-san, I still need to talk to you about some things, mainly arrange some things about Naruto, said the Hokage. Sigh, I hate politics, another reason I left the demon realm, thought Rei as she took seat again. Naruto and the dog-masked ANBU were walking down the road from the Hokage Tower going through the market district of Konoha. Naruto received the usual hateful and gold glare, but this time instead of shying away he ignored them, or at least was unaffected to them. The same couldn't be said about the ANBU who accompanied him though. This dog-masked ANBU felt terrible, and was tempted to glare back at the villagers for how they treated the blonde besides him. Yet he was mesmerized by his little charge. The way he took the glare was as if they were unresistant. This was nearly a total 180 to what the child used to be. Curious about the sudden change, he tried to start conversation with Naruto. He knew about the assault the child suffered on his birthday, and he was pissed. He begged Ibiki to let him have a go with the prisoners, and after a while and some sake bottles, the head of Konoha's interrogation department agreed. He used 5 Chidoras that day, and all of them aimed so the aggressors would never have children again. So how have you been, Naruto? Asked the dog-masked ANBU, trying to break the silent escort on our favorite purple-eyed blonde. I am fine, Ina-san, and you? Asked Naruto with a small smile. I'm fine, Naruto, so what have you been up to? The ANBU asked again. Not much, Inu-san. Naruto knew he could trust this silver-haired ANBU. After all, he had saved him a couple times in the past, and was the one who rescued him during the incident when he was 5. But he didn't know if he could actually tell him everything that has happened since his last birthday. Naruto, I heard about what happened from Hokage-sama. I'm sorry I couldn't be there. I was out on a mission. If only I hadn't accepted it. The ANBU looked at the floor. The ANBU was sad. This much Naruto knew. Although his face was covered by the dog mask, he could feel the truth behind the ninja's expressions. It wasn't your fault, Inu-san. You were outside of Konoha, and in no way was that your responsibility. Moreover, I am fine. Itachi and I-san saved me back then, so it's alright. Still, look, we are here. Naruto, stay behind me for a bit, said the ANBU as they stumbled upon a large building with the name Higurashi Arms. It was the weapon shop. Naruto and the ANBU promptly entered the building, the bells from the store's door ringing as they entered. Naruto's eyes widened when he saw the assortment of weapons and other tools in the store. Kunais, shurikens, katanas, hammers, you name it, they had it on display, and of various designs as well. Naruto was contemplating kunai adorned with a vine design made of gold when a voice sounded from the back of the store. The rough but cheery voice sounded, welcome, welcome, what can I do for ya? As a large man came from a door behind the counter. He was huge. A good feet taller than the ANBU with Naruto. Around 6.4 feet, yep, he's taller than Jiraiya. He had a buff build that while he had a wide stomach one could tell it was pure muscle under his clothes. He had short slicked back black hair with some silver in it, and a Van Dyke beard. He had expressive brown eyes that held a smile of their own. He was dressed in an olive green short-sleeved shirt, and jeans. Any other details on his clothes were obscured by the large leather apron with the Konoha symbol he was wearing. "Hi there, Umbu-san, need any spare kunai or something?" the man said, looking at the Umbu, apparently not noticing Naruto. "Actually, Mr. the Umbu began and waited for the man to introduce himself. "Ryohei, Higurashi Ryohei," the man gave his name. "Ryohei-san, the one who wanted to see you is this child with me," said the Umbu, stepping aside so Naruto was a bit more visible. The Umbu was waiting for the man's reaction to Naruto. When the man saw Naruto, he froze instantly, and with shock in his eyes he muttered something inaudible to both Naruto and the Umbu. "Minato?" was what he whispered, and neither Naruto nor the Umbu heard him. The man quickly composed himself. "Ahem, hi there, short stuff, what do you want from me? Don't tell me you're a ninja. Not another Itachi, darn it, I swear that kid nearly gave me a heart attack when he came here for some equipment," the man said, a little surprised, and then laughed in the end. The Umbu was pleased by his reaction. Naruto, however, was slightly confused. "He didn't throw me out. That's the first. Most people, when they see me, either kick me out of their store or cash me extra for everything. Moreover, I can't see the slightest negative reaction in his eyes. This is just weird." "No sir, I'm not a nin. Wait, you know Itachi and I-san?" asked Naruto. "Do I know him? Damn kid came here when he was about your age saying he was a darn nin. At 7. And the darn gaki is an Umbu captain now at 13. Just what has Mikoto been feeding that kid, I wonder? Anyhow, what do you need from me, kid?" "Do you make all this stuff?" Naruto asked while pointing to the weapons. "Damn straight I do, finest weapons in the village. Why? Have any commissions?" asked the man, curious as to why the kid sought him. "I want to learn how to make weapons," Naruto answered. This brought surprise to the man, and began humming and looking at Naruto. "So why do you want to learn to forge weapons?" the man asked cautiously. "Because what you make is beautiful, but if Ni-san uses them, they must also be very good and strong. I want to learn to make strong weapons, and also I have some things I need to build myself, and I need the knowledge to make them," Naruto answered unhesitant. Ryohei hummed again before saying, "Very well, Gaki. Come with me to the forge, and if you endure the heat and pay attention, I might take you as an apprentice," the man said, stroking his beard. Naruto grinned hugely as his amethyst-colored eyes sparkled cool. Then, "See you later, Inu-san." Naruto waved to the Umbu as he quickly went behind the counter and entered the door. Before Ryohei followed Naruto, he turned to the masked Umbu. "Don't worry, Kakashi. I'll take care of the gaki." The Umbu nodded and disappeared in a swirl of leaves, leaving Naruto in the weaponsmith's hands. Entering the wooden door, he turned to Naruto. "Wait a sec, Gaki, I'm gonna ask my daughter to mind the store for a bit," he said as he went towards some stairs. "Hey Tenten! Come down and man the store for a while," the man screamed to the stairs, trying to catch someone's attention. A small feminine voice answered, "On my way, Ota-san." After some weird ruffling sounds, including something that sounded like breaking ceramic, a door slam, and running feet, a young girl came from the stairs. She was pretty in Naruto's opinion, not gorgeous pretty like Rei-chan, but more a simple pretty. She had brown hair tied in a bun behind her head and her short bangs parted in the middle. She had the same expressive chocolate brown eyes of Ryohei. She had a fair skin. She was wearing a short-sleeved pink shirt with a panda etched on the front, some dark blue shorts and dark blue shinobi sandals. She had some bandage wrapped on her right thigh and a small red kunai pouch on her left hip. As she turned to look at Naruto, she was slightly confused. "Hey Dad? Who's the kid?" she asked, and this irritated Naruto a bit. "Hey! Who are you calling a kid? You don't look much older than I do," he shouted, and the little girl giggled. "Haha, yeah? Well, I'm 8, and I already entered the Shinobi Academy," she said smugly. "So what, I am 7 and I'm also gonna be a shinobi, and a kick-ass one. Believe it!" Hokage Tower, Hokage's office. "Aichu!" Rei sneezed loudly. Bless you here, Rei-san," said the Hokage, gave her a tissue. "Thanks, old man. I have a feeling I have to hit Naruto as soon as I see him, plus the strange need to teach him not to say something hard," she said, absent-mindedly tapping her chin with her index finger. The Hokage's sweat dropped at this. "Poor you, Naruto-kun." Higurashi arms. 7? Are you sure? Said Tenten as she hummed and checked out Naruto. "Aren't you a little short for being 7? She motioned to his height with a slight smirk. Naruto's eyebrow twitched, and he opened his eyes wide. "Yeah, have a problem with that. I'll be a freaking giant shinobi before you know it," he said in a defying voice. "Whoa, how weird, purple eyes, never seen them before. They're kinda pretty. Is that some kind of bloodline? Like that kid Niji's?" she thought before responding. "Ha, good luck with that. Dad's the biggest shinobi I've seen yet," she announced. Naruto blinked at this. Asen, you're a shinobi? He turned to Ryohei. Who are you calling old? Gaki. I'll have you know I'm only 35. Ahem, yes, I was a shinobi. In fact, I used to be the 4th Hokage's teammate, you know, the man said with a grin. Really? That's cool. Were you super strong then, Asen? Naruto asked with sparkling amethysts for eyes on the prospect of learning from someone strong. Ryohei's eyebrow twitched for a second. Oh yeah, kid, Exumbu, so there. Shahahaha, anyway, Tenten. Yes, Dad? Answered the girl. This is Naruto Uzumaki, and he wants to be my apprentice in blacksmithing. I'm taking him to the forge to give him a little test. Attend the store while we're busy, the huge Exumbu said, and the girl nodded. Apprentice? What are you thinking, Dad? You never take on apprentices even though aspirants come every week. Just what are you planning? Tenten thought while going out the reception door. Okay, Gaki. Follow me, the man said, and Naruto nodded, following the man's lead. They came out of the reception again, and Naruto saw the Tenten girl sitting in a chair in the counter looking at a magazine. Then they went through a steel door. On the other side of the door was a rather large room with an anvil, many tools, barrels, a forge, and some nondescript things. Naruto was in awe looking at it all. Okay, Gaki, first let me tell you this clearly. I have never accepted a single apprentice wannabe. You know why? Because either they didn't pass my tests. Ryohei went to the anvil and said, very well, Gaki, it goes like this. I'm gonna run you through a few tests, and I want you to pass them without using your chakra in the slightest, alright? Naruto nodded. Good, now I'm gonna throw you a very weak katan jutsu that will emulate the heat one is exposed to when using the forge. If you bear it well, you would have passed the endurance test, and we'll take on the next part, alright? Said Ryohei. Naruto looked at him for a bit in disbelief but nodded nevertheless. Good, bear with this for a while, Gaki. The man began making some hand seals katan. Neppa, he said, begun blowing heated air at Naruto. Naruto immediately felt the sudden change in temperature. The air was hot and dry, but even so Naruto had felt hotter than that, especially when you compare this to being burned alive by bigger fire jutsus. Ryohei was impressed. Most of the dunces that asked him for apprenticeship fell to the ground sweating heavily after that amount of heat. He briefly wondered how he resisted that much heat, but he heard about some of the stupidest ninjas' actions and their employment of fire jutsus near the child. This brought an incredibly sad feeling to him, even if it explained the blonde's high resistance to heat. Ryohei ended the jutsu and saw that Naruto was still standing, a bit sweaty and fanning himself with his hand, but he looked fine more or less. Very well done, Naruto. You passed this test. Now to the next one. He made a motion for Naruto to get closer, and Naruto did so. He gave Naruto a small black handle tied with a chain to some round device that looked like a watch. This is a dynamometer. I usually use it to measure the weight of the material I'm gonna use. But with this attached, he pointed to Naruto's handle, it will be perfect to measure your physical strength. You just have to pull it the strongest you can. Alright, said Naruto as he began pulling the handle with as much strength he could muster. As he did this, the needle in the clock-like thing moved and Ryohei checked it. Okay, you can stop now. The measure is taken, he said, and Naruto stopped and drew a little breath. Whistle. Well, 105 pounds, that's impressive for a 7-year-old. Hell, I didn't reach that mark till I was 10, he said with a smile. Naruto grinned back and scratched the back of his neck a bit. Hee, really? He said, and Ryohei nodded. Well, Naruto, you passed this test with flying colors, so to the next one, he said, and took out a red pill. This Naruto isn't special medication I made in my younger days. I force-fed this to my opponents to gain an advantage in battle. This little pill drains the energy of a person in a second. I've seen grown men, civilian of course, pass out from a single one of these babes. And even most shinobi are panting after one or two, he explained, and Naruto got a bit awed at the tiny red sphere. I call it the fag pill. Shaha. Although it's registered as the wimp pill, they wouldn't allow me to name it fag pill. Naruto's sweat dropped at this. With this I'll test your stamina, and that will be the final part of the test. Now don't worry, if you pass out you've done well so far, so I will give you a second chance when you grow up, Ryohei said with a smirk, knowing how to push the buttons of a hot-blooded child. Naruto frowned a bit before taking forcefully the pill off Ryohei's hands and swallowing it up in defiance. His little stunt was short-lived, however, as he felt the massive energy pull from the pill. He felt as if he was ran over by a horse. But even then Naruto stood on his feet, head raised high, although panting quickly. Well, wouldn't you look at that? I heard rumors that you were a stamina freak, but having as much as a seasoned shinobi at 7, that's just plainly unreal. Congrats, you little freak, you passed all my tests, shahahaha. Ryohei laughed hard, ruffling Naruto's hair. Naruto, although a little annoyed at the last action, smiled widely as well and scratched his right cheek a bit. Hee, I really am cool, aren't I? Ryohei's smile was a clear competition to his own when he said, damn straight, little dude. Now we just need to see if you are good in actual blacksmithing, but we're gonna do that tomorrow. I have an ore delivery to receive later, and we won't have time for the test since I have to go receive the cargo on the east gate along with my wife. He shuddered a bit. Anyway, it's midday, so wanna get some food? Ah, really? Naruto asked, shocked. Yeah. Tenten could use the company and you could use a steak. You're too small and thin, Gaki, Ryohei said with a smirk. Naruto smiled warmly. Thank you, Ryohei-asen. Ryohei smiled and with a hand on Naruto's shoulder he guided the blonde to the door. Tenten, come, we're gonna eat. Naruto's joining us, and from now on he'll probably be here a lot. After all, I might be taking him as an apprentice tomorrow, Ryohei said, which caused the girl's eyes to widen. He'll really take him as an apprentice? But why yes, Dad, Naruto was it? She said and turned to the blonde kid. Naruto nodded before saying, your name was Tenten, right? Nice to meet you, and scratching the back of his head, offering the other hand to her. After they shaked hands, Ryohei went to the kitchen and told both children to sit at the table, while he reheated some curry with rice, meanwhile hearing the talk between Tenten and Naruto. So you're from here, Naruto? I haven't seen you around before, said Tenten to the blonde. Well, yes, been in Konoha all my life, but I'm not exactly welcomed in the market area. I'd rather not talk about it, said Naruto. Oh, alright. Tenten was curious, but seeing Naruto's expression she decided to leave it for later. So why do you want to learn to be a blacksmith? I thought you wanted to be a shinobi. Oh, I do, but I need to learn about that because there are things that I believe can only be made that way, and if I manage to do them, well, I'll be a step in the right direction. Okay, Tenten. Naruto, food's up, Ryohei said as he placed 3 plates of food on the table. Eat up, while it's hot, Naruto. While they ate, some everyday topics were mentioned and Naruto had chatted with them happily. Thanks again for the food, Ryohei-asen, said Naruto as he stood on the front door. No problem, Naruto. Just quit calling me old, shahahaha. Ryohei laughed, half his mind giving up on changing the way the blonde calls him. Not a chance. Anyway, Ryohei-asen, Tenten-chan, sayonara. Mata ashita. Goodbye. See you tomorrow, Naruto said as he walked away and waved goodbye. Bye. Gaki. By Naruto waved both Ryohei and Tenten to the retreating form of Naruto. Well, Tenten, I have to go change, so I can go for your mother and the ore shipment, Ryohei sighed. Is mommy gonna cook tonight? Tenten asked, suddenly serious. Let's pray for the opposite. Tenten or Naruto's test will be the day after tomorrow for stomach problems. Both Higurashi shuddered at the thought and D silently agreed. Konoha streets. Well, what should I do now? Rei-chan is still with Aji-san, or she would have found me already, the blonde mused as he was walking aimlessly. Naruto thought I could go to the park a play for a while. Yeah, that's what I'll do. He then smiled and changed his course so he was in the direction of the park. As Naruto was reaching the park, however, he came upon a sight that made him frown. Some kids that often bothered him were bullying someone. A little girl about his age with short midnight blue hair and a white yukata. KH. What's with this? You still play with baby dolls? You baby? Called the big fat boy with black hair and a buzz cut that was holding the girl's doll over his head, and henceforth hers. What are you gonna do, huh? He called as he pushed the girl so she fell to the ground. You gonna cry, huh? Called another kid, this one the same height although much thinner, with brown spiky hair. He was mockingly rubbing his eyes in a mock-crying manner. Boo-hoo, he was chanting. Another kid, this one shorter with curly black hair, was laughing while repeating what his accomplices said and currently making mock-crying noises. Frowning once again, Naruto drew a breath as he moved firmly towards them. "Oh, Yaradomo, one," he shouted, calling the attention of the bullies. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Naruto said angrily as he stomped towards them. "Oh, look, it's the demon brat. What do you want, wimp?" said the big boy as he looked at Naruto. "I want you to leave her alone and give her back her doll," Naruto said angrily, and he looked under the bigger boy's eyes. "Oh yeah, and what are you gonna do about it, huh?" said the brown-haired boy with a nod from the shorter of the trio. "I'm gonna make you," answered Naruto, pointing at himself with his thumb, eliciting a laugh from the bullies. "Ha ha, very well, wimp. Let's see you try." The boy shoved Naruto on the intent on throwing him to the ground. He was surprised, however, when the blonde did not move an inch. Naruto was slightly confused as well. Normally he'd be in the ground with that shove, but then he remembered Rei-chan's physical training, read, torture, and realized it served its purpose, and he was much stronger now, so he simply shoved the kid himself, grinning at the more than accomplished purpose, for not only did the bully got shoved, but he fell to the ground after being sent backwards a good 4 feet. The bully ended on the ground with swirls for eyes and little tweeting bird sounds. "What kind of boulder hit me?" he squeaked before falling dizzy on the ground. The rest of the boys tensed. "Kojiro was the strongest of us. If this kid threw him off, then we have a snowball's chance in hell of winning. Retreat, both thought, and with a nod agreed with each other, giving a small glare at Naruto. Naruto, obviously not knowing their thoughts, tensed at the glares and prepared for a fight. What he didn't expect was, however, was run like hell. Both boys screamed, grabbing their downed fellow bully, leaving the scene quickly and leaving Bane to sweat dropping Naruto. Well, didn't see that one coming, said Naruto before he turned around to the girl. The girl was happy that someone came to help her. She looked at her savior as he helped her to her feet. He turned and grabbed her doll, which had fallen to the ground, and dusted it off before giving it back to her. Thank you, she said softly. Naruto grinned. Hey, no problem, I hate bullies, and seeing people being bullied, it reminds me of myself too much. He silently added, I'm Uzumaki Naruto. What's your name? He said. She was about to answer when a cry of Hinata-chan, where are you? And Nei-chan sounded. They turned around and saw a woman with white eyes, long midnight blue hair, and a white kimono holding a little girl a bit younger than them with brown hair and spiky pigtails and a white yukata. The little girl also had white eyes, and Naruto presumed they were the girl, now identified as Hinata's family. The girl Hinata turned to Naruto and said while bowing, Sumimasen Naruto-san, but I have to go now. My name is Hyuga Hinata, she said before she hugged him lightly, and thank you for helping me, she said before going after the persons. Naruto just nodded and saw how the girl called after her mother and seemed to talk to her about something before pointing at him. Naruto half expected the girl's mother to get angry and tell him to stay away from her daughter, as he was used to, but he was surprised when the woman smiled at him and bowed silently, giving him her thanks. Naruto got slightly tipped off but quickly bowed as well, and the woman smiled at him before nodding and leaving. Naruto was slightly confused but eventually shrugged it off and went to play around. As Naruto went towards the slide, he failed to notice a little figure who was watching him out of curiosity. Naruto sat down in the swings. Normally he would play alone for a while before sitting in the swings, and this was accompanied by him feeling bad, empty and sad, but then he realized he didn't felt that way anymore. He began to wonder on the reason why, and he remembered about the happenings of the last week, and how much he changed by them. He thought of when Kami told him about that crazy bloodline of his, which reminded him that he had to ask Sarijiji about his family. He thought about how now that Itachi was out of ANBU he could finally play freely with him without compromising his missions. Finally he thought of Rei and how she was the friend he always searched for. He smiled warmly. This shocked the little silhouette trailing him. I wonder what in heaven is Rei doing with Gigi that takes her so long to come find me? Naruto wondered. Hokage Tower, Hiruzen's office. Bloody hell, you old fool. How do you even manage to get so much paperwork? Rei said as she was helping the Hokage sort and defeat the bane of all Kages while very tempted to use an Onikaten jutsu. I honestly don't know, Akai-sora-san. I swear I'm gonna kill the next person who comes with another stack of papers for me to sign. The old Hokage sighed. Once again, I thank you for helping me solving this problem. The old Kage stressed the lost word as a secretary came with a fresh stack of paper which in Hiruzen's eyes was still smoking from the hellish pits it spawned from. Seriously, old monkey, Grandpa took care of the political title of Kyubi while I was in the demon realm, and I ruled everything there, and not once did this much paperwork stack together, she said with irritation as she too glared at the secretary, who took notice of the glares and got out of there as fast as she could, which was pretty darn fast for a civilian. Konoha's playgrounds, swings. Yamanaka Ino always was a curious person. You could ask around and they tell you she was gossip incarnate, yet this wasn't so much true, though the real reason for the misconception was that it looked similar from the eyes of others, but nor hers. She knew the reason pretty well. She had curiosity, a lot of it. She was curious about her peers, about herself, about the response her friends would have before spicy news, curious about flowers, animals, about many things, but one in particular spiked her curiosity, as of lately. Uzumaki Naruto, the so-called demon brat of Konoha. She saw other parents telling their children to stay away from him, and even saw how the mothers of those who bullied him praised their children for it, which by itself made her mad. She despised bullies after all. You can ask her best friend Sakura and she'd tell you this. Her own parents never said a bad thing about the kid. Whenever his name was mentioned they'd either adopt a face of sadness, or one of hatred, the latter usually directed at those who spoke bad of the kid. It was only expected that this, as well as the time she heard he parents saying they failed to adopt him again, that her curiosity would flare. Why was everyone mean to the kid? Why did most adults seem to hate the child? Why was the kid so close to Lord Hokage that he visited him at least once a week? Why, if he was an orphan, he had an apartment at 7 when orphans were not allowed to leave until they are 11? Why was he always alone? And just who was Uzumaki Naruto? This and many more questions plagued the mind of the Yamanaka heir. On her curiosity, she had followed him for a while out of his sight. Of course, it wouldn't do if he knew she was following him, as it would make him change his natural routine however slightly, and this would not satisfy the girl's curiosity. In her short time stall investigating him, she discovered that he was alone most of the time, always playing alone, always eating alone in that ramen stand, always wandering around Konoha, shying away from those mysterious glares the adults sent him. She had seen him in the playgrounds before, but he never played with anyone. Who would he play with if most would either stay away from him or bully him? After that he would sit in teehee swings looking miserable, as if the entire world was on his shoulders. Though curious as it was, she never once saw him cry. Imagine her surprise when, instead of playing alone for a while and sitting on his blue swing, he went directly to the swings and began smiling. Not only that, but this wasn't those grins and smiles she so often saw on his face. No, this was a beautiful, heartwarming smile that, unknowingly, brought a smile to her own lips. Her curiosity this time flared more than ever, so she decided to talk to him and see his reaction. So she stood up and dusted herself off a bit before going towards him. "Hi, I'm Ino. Tough, you can call me Ino-sama. What's your name?" she asked with that mischievous attitude of hers, which by those who didn't know her well often confused with pompousness. Then she extended her hand in greeting, waiting for him to do the same. Naruto, for once, was baffled, wondering on what was going on. After all, not many kids, much less girls, greeted him and asked for his name in a non-aggressive manner. Moreover, he had seen her before and she seemed popular, always surrounded by other kids. So, acting on instinct rather than coherent thoughts, which he had none right now, he took her hand slowly and answered her with an uncertain "Hi, I'm Naruto." "Hi Naruto, what are you doing?" she asked with a smile. Well, nothing really, just thinking," he said after regaining his mental abilities. "Really now, say wanna play with me?" she asked, purposely ignoring the part of her mind that was screaming at her to just ask him all about his life. Sure, why not?" Naruto said, still uncertain about this. "Great. Come on, let's play in the seesaw," the platinum blonde said to him, hastily pulling him out of the swings. "Then after becoming my friend you'll tell me about it, hee," she thought. At first they played a little awkward, with Ino dragging Naruto around and Naruto being slightly put off by this. But eventually, after a while and some games, Naruto finally began to play with Ino, actually enjoying himself. After an hour of playing thought, Ino's dad began calling her name. She cursed under her breath that she only advanced their friendship very slightly. Naruto heard it but hardly understood this, so he decided to ignore it. When Inoichi found his daughter playing with Naruto, he smiled. After seeing her puffed cheeks, he knew she wanted to play more with him, and this made his smile wider. But as much as he wanted both blondes to bond, it was time to go. His wife was gonna begin cooking, and when he didn't eat it, she got awfully mad and often summoned the wrath of that evil frying pan that seemingly just faded into existence, since he was sure to just destroy every pan that was on his house. Nevertheless, it's time to go. "Ino, honey, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's time to go. Hi there, Naruto." The older blonde waved to the violet-eyed one. Naruto instantly recognized the man that had helped him multiple times in the past, both in critical and everyday situations. He and his wife gave him a cooked meal every once in a while, after all. "Hi Inoichi-san, nice to see you again. How is Izumi-san?" Naruto asked with his happy grin at one of those who showed kindness to him before. "She's well, Naruto, though I could do without the beatings," he absent-mindedly commented before remembering his daughter was there, and getting wide eyes, he sharply turned towards her and said firmly, though his eyes were practically begging, "Don't tell your mother I said that." But alas, he recognized that glint in her eyes. It meant either she got her way or she'd tell. Apparently he'd sleep in the couch tonight with pain. "Anyhow, Ino, it's time to go. You can play with Naruto another day," he said to his daughter. Ino looked apologetically at Naruto. "Gomen, Naruto, I have to go. We'll play on another occasion, any?" she said before sticking her hand out to Naruto. Naruto took it and said, "It's okay, Ino-chan. We'll play again later," he told her, offering his usual grin. He didn't notice the slight pout on the platinum blonde's face. "Damn, I wanted to see you smile like you did a while ago." Perhaps with time, Ino thought before shaking hands and leaving with her father. "Bye Inoichi-san, bye Ino-chan, see ya later," Naruto said, and they waved back. And with that he was alone again. He had played for a bit, and the sun was going down. He briefly wondered just what was Rei doing right now. Hokage Tower, Hiruzen's office. "How much longer must we do this?" complained the demon princess, seeing the old Hokage fill some paperwork. "For a while more, Akaisora-san. After all, this is all the pertinent paperwork to make a change of address. I was thinking in moving Naruto to a bigger house, but since he is only one child I couldn't give him anything bigger than an apartment. If he at least had a single friend from the orphanage willing to move in with him, then perhaps I could have assigned them bodyguards." But the old shinobi trailed off sadly. "Yeah, I know, but at least he's with me now. I'll never leave him alone. And besides, with me around, guards will be totally unnecessary, she offered with a grin. Hiruzen couldn't help but smile once he saw that grin in Rei's face, for it was much too similar to the grin of his favorite blonde. He briefly wondered if this would bring about more trouble than it was worth it, but dismissed the thought as soon as it came. Konoha's playground's entrance. Perhaps I should go look for Rei-chan. Naruto was talking to himself before a growl was emitted from his belly. A bowl or 200. From Ichiraku's sound extremely tempting right about now. Tough, she might want some too Grollo. Then again, what she doesn't know won't hurt her, he reasoned as he went towards Ichiraku. The old monkey? Rei asked as she signed papers while looking out the window. It was dark already. Yes, what is it, Akai Sora-san? The Hokage answered while smoking a little. Why was there so much paperwork, huh? I remember some of Naruto's visits to your office, and you never had that much, she said with disdain, looking at the pile of paper that was their nightmare a while ago. She could swear she saw that thing moving. Oh well, you see, we had some Kumo ambassador here to negotiate a peace treaty yesterday. He is scheduled to leave tomorrow morning and I had to get the paperwork sorted. Moreover, today is the 6th birthday of one of the Hyuga's clan head's children, and he wanted some documents signed as well. Rei hummed a bit before a sudden feeling crossed her. Ugh, I feel I need to hit Naruto a bit more for being inconsiderate. Dunno why though. She trailed off her ruby orb, glancing at the window. The Hokage chuckled a bit. Naruto-kun, you sure got your hands full with this one. Konoha's food district, Ichiraku Ramen. Hey Asen! Naruto suddenly popped up on one of the stand's chairs, scaring the crap out of Tucci. Naruto-kun? He asked tentatively before hitting the blonde in the head with the paddle. Darn gaki. Be more mindful of old people, he said, grumbling around before getting a ladle in the head himself, courtesy of I am. Don't hit Naruto-kun too, san. You know how excited he gets to eat with us. You should be used to it by now, said I am with puffed cheeks as Tucci mumbled incoherencies while rubbing the sore spot on his head and going back to the kitchen. Naruto's sweat dropped at the family's antics. Nah. I am Nei-chan. Could you give me a bowl of miso ramen to start? He asked the waitress. Of course, Naruto-kun, wait here, she said before joining her father in the kitchen. A few minutes later she came out with 3 plates of miso ramen, setting up one before her in the counter, and the other 2 before him. She said, the first one is one the house, Naruto-kun. Naruto grinned widely, and drooling a bit he exclaimed, thank you. Oh, wonderful and beautiful, I am Nei-chan, he said before digging in. He certainly knew hot to sweet talk all right. I am giggled at his words before she too began eating the noodles. So Naruto-kun, what have you been up to lately? You haven't come around, she questioned him, and Naruto gave a version of the story that wouldn't compromise either Rei, Itachi, or himself. Minus 30 minuets, and 15 bowls later. Goodbye, Nei-chan, Asen. See ya tomorrow. Naruto waved as he left the ramen stand. As he walked, he noticed a small crowd of people around the houses of those white-eyed persons, as well as some gathered in the central area of Konoha. There were very few persons, yet both locations seemed to be celebrating something. Out of personal experience, he knew going near crowds and celebrations was suicidal, especially for him, so he opted for taking the less taken route to his house, one that passed the eastern gate. Since this was the industrial area where most villagers worked, it was near abandoned by nighttime, so it was safe to go through here. After a nod, he moved on the empty alleys towards his house. Little did he know he was about to take another step towards his destiny. Konoha streets. Things were going right for Ichiban Rambumono Sohai. He managed to get the Hokage busy with the paperwork for the alliance. He managed to get the people and most Konoha ninjas into a celebration of peace in the middle of the town. He even managed to drug the Hyuga matriarch into sleep in order to kidnap the kid. Since it was the birthday of the Hyuga heiress, nearly every other Hyuga would be busy and only the mother would take care of the child. And with her out of the picture for a couple hours, he just had to tie up the child and put her in a bag, and presto, instant Hyuga eyes. Undoubtedly they would find out in a while. But for now all he needed was to take the child to the city outskirts and deliver her to the Recon team, then go back and act like nothing happened. Yes, the council will be pleased. He might even make it jounin with luck. After all, that power-hungry Reikage was a pretty good guy if you got in his good side. And what better to get there than to bring the Byakugan to the village, especially one with such strong genes as the main branch's daughter, and the council's plan was ingenious. She'd be removed from her eyes and used as breeding stock until she birthed a male, then removed of her ovaries as backup and disposed of like evidence. Then the child would be used to impregnate various girls, and the village would soon have his own batch of Byakugan users. Seriously, the council was intelligent. To even make it so that even if the Reikage don't know about this plan, he'd be forced to accept that which happened. Yep, everything was going well, and the path he was taking to the east gate was empty, which only made it easier for him. Well, if he hadn't bumped into a little blonde kid, just where in the bloody hell did this brat come from? They fell spiraling to the ground in a yelp of pain. Both he and the blonde cursed as they looked at each other. Damn it, brat. Watch where you're going. The man screamed at the blonde child. Watch where you're going, you blind baka. Why the hell are you running in the first place? Naruto yelled back while looking him. He looked at a ninja, except his Hittite had a different symbol, one that looked like 3 long dots, 2 of them fused together. Look at the cloud headband in Google. Naruto looked at the sack the man was carrying and noticed it was moving. He was startled when he saw it opening. Inside the bag was a person. And not any person, it was a little girl, the same little girl she had seen earlier that day with the one he assumed was Hinata's mother. That's make this her little sister. This man was kidnapping Hinata's little sister. Sohei froze after he realized the kid had seen what he was doing. He cursed under his breath as he stood up and walked towards Naruto. Well, this sure is troublesome, brat. I don't have much time to lose, so I'll ask you to shut up about what you just saw and never tell anyone, got it? Sohei said while releasing some killer intent against Naruto, thinking that it'd be enough to scare the kid into oblivion so he could quickly leave to finish his business. He was, however, not expecting Naruto's response. You bastard, leave her alone, Naruto said as he charged the man with a raised fist before bringing it down on the man's face. However, what ensued was not what he had planned. He stood there with Naruto's fist still lodged on his cheek, an impassive frown on his face, and completely unharmed. The guy didn't even flinch from Naruto's punch. Oh, you've got balls to try and fight a Chunin, brat, the man said before punching Naruto's stomach, sending him against the wall, knocking the wind out of him. Shame you ain't got the brains not to. Naruto felt the strength of the punch. It was just insane. Just how was he gonna get out of this? And what about Hinata's sister? Tentatively, Naruto got up and began making the hand seals for the jutsu he learned with Itachi, but before he was even halfway through them, he got side-kicked in the ribs and thrown into other wall, making the girl in the bag gasp. Though her mouth was slapped some duct tape, Naruto still recognized that as a gasp. Was he losing? Another kick to the side of his head brought him to reality. Oh, so you know some jutsu, huh? I'm surprised. I thought kids were not taught about chakra until they were 9, much less a jutsu. Oh well, it doesn't matter, brat. You're still just a brat. The man lifted him from his shirt. Then it hit him. Reality fell on him like a ton of bricks. He was a boy. Sure, he was a strong boy, capable of standing up to bullies bigger than him, and knowing how to use a jutsu at such an age was something not seen since Itachi. But he was still just that, a little kid. I'll admit it, brat, that punch held some strength. Perhaps in time you would have been a strong opponent. Shame you ran into me before that. The man threw him against another wall and took a glance at him. You're finished, brat. Those wounds broke your bones. I'm slightly odd you haven't passed out from pain, but it's useless. If you don't get medical attention, you'll probably die, so it won't matter what you do. I'll just leave you here and deliver this little brat over here. He pointed to the bound girl to my boss, and if by the time I get back you're still around, I'll dispose of you properly. The man turned around. Was that it? Naruto wondered, is this all I really can do? Am I really this useless? I couldn't even protect her. He took a glance at the bound girl. How am I supposed to protect myself? Asen, I am Nechan, Itachi and Aisen Hokage. GG. Flashes of everyone smiling at him passed his mind. Ray-chan? He remembered the Crimson Vixen, images of their meeting in his mind, those pranks they pulled, the training, the laughs and smiles, a memory of her snuggling against him. Naruto-kun. And oh, he thought, I can't give up. He clenched his fist and scrunched his face in effort to stand up. The man hadn't realized this, as he seemed to be trying to stuff the Hyuga girl back into the bag. Naruto took this as a chance and tentatively stood up. Clenching his fist, he called upon all his stubbornness to ignore the throbbing pain in his entire body. With his flaring determination, he clenched his fist strongly as he advanced upon the kidnapper with renewed power. As he felt better than ever, he briefly wondered about this, considered he was not long ago the living representation of a ragdoll, but shrugged it as adrenaline and figured that it would hurt later. The man realized it as he felt some chakra leak from the blonde. He turned to see Naruto standing up, breathing heavily and struggling as he clenched his fist, and went after him. Brat, didn't I already tell you that was useless? The man said as he prepared himself to intercept Naruto's next attack. Neither of them noticed the slight change in Naruto's appearance, like his dark violet eyes turning a bright hazel brown, or his skin darkening around his arms. Both also failed to notice the slight cracks Naruto left in the pavement as he gained speed running towards the kidnapper. The next moment seemed to last an eternity, as no one got their expected result. The man got a huge surprise, as this time the blonde's fist not only made contact with his ribcage but broke several ribs and knocked the wind out of him and proceeded to throw him against a wall. This of course accompanied by the tremendous amount of pain. What's going on here? A minute ago this kid's punch barely registered, now it feels like a punch from Reikage-sama, were his last thought before falling unconscious. Naruto got surprised at the simple punch actually working on the opponent, and with enough force to throw him against a building and cracking the wall. Naruto stood there stupefied by this occurrence, and gaped a little at that, not noticing the previous changes in his appearance, fading away. The bound Hyuga slightly gasped, as well as you can do that while gauged at her blonde rescuer. As he seemingly defeated her kidnapper, she also saw a slight change in Naruto's eyes, but she thought it was simply a light effect or something. She regained her sense soon though and prompted her rescuer to unbound her. Naruto snapped out of his stupor to quickly break the bindings on the girl and removing her gag. The little girl immediately jumped the blonde, enveloping him in a tight hug and thanking him greatly. Naruto was slightly taken aback, but quickly he hugged the girl back and patted the back of her head. Shhh, it's alright now, he kept saying to calm her down. At that exact moment, 3 wide-eyed adults appeared, 2 men and a woman, 2 of them in white/grayish robes. Naruto recognized the woman as the one who picked up Hinata earlier, and both men were identical save for one of them having a black/gray outfit and having a headband on his forehead. Not sparring a moment and thought all 3 knew what happened. The blonde somehow had stopped the kidnapper and was currently consoling the girl. Hanabi! Quickly cried the woman as she hugged her daughter and thanked her savior. Thank Kami, Naruto-san. Thank you? Both males tensed, looking around for the aggressor only to find him unconscious against the cracked wall, obviously in that state from a strong impact with said enemy. As the Hyuga head prepared a strong juken strike to the brain of the kidnapper, an arm stopped his midair. An arm belonging to a black-cloaked figure with a white and red-marked animal mask. Stop right there, Hayashi! Yelled a voice behind them. As both Hyuga turned, they saw the Hokage standing there, swirling leaves, announcing that he just shined into the scene. Along him was a girl with red eyes and hair that as soon as she saw the blonde she screamed Naruto and ran to hug him. Don't kill him, Hayashi. No matter what is your personal view on this, he is still an ambassador, and his death would undoubtedly put us in a bad situation with Kumo. Who knows what they might demand of us to compensate? Actually, I have a thought that you do know what they'd demand already, the old Hokage claimed sternly, and both Hyuga heads gulped slightly as they thought about it. The Byakugan. They'd demand a Byakugan, both thought. Naruto. Are you alright? What happened? Rei asked, concerned about her blonde friend's state of clothing, which suggested a heavy beating, who simply shrugged with a smile. Meh, it's nothing, Rei. He stood up. See, I'm Finn. He didn't finish his sentence, as he fell unconscious. Naruto! Rei screamed and caught him in his fall. The Hyuga woman had activated her Byakugan to look at her daughter's savior's condition. After a moment she sighed in relief as she said, do not worry, young lady. He's just exhausted, although I believe he'll be very sore tomorrow, she said, and Rei visibly calmed down a bit to the point of gently hugging Naruto close to her. The previously kidnapped girl felt the strain of the day's excitement get to her, as she was slowly falling asleep. Sparing a last glance at her savior, she barely whispered arigato Adashir no hero before falling into a dreamland filled with white-armored, golden-haired and purple-eyed knights. Pain, pure unbridled pain, was all Naruto felt when he woke up. It wasn't the kind of screaming pain, but rather the sore kind that made you feel so heavy you don't even want to move. Whether the blonde said as he tried to take in his surroundings. He saw many of his stuff, his clock, his pajamas, his bedsheets, his calendar, etc. However, the room itself, where the hell am I? Oh, you're up already? A voice called. Naruto turned his head to look at the source and saw Reiko standing there by the door. You took your sweet time, Naruto. It's been 2 days already, she said. What the hell happened? And where are we? Naruto asked, rubbing the soreness off his shoulder as he stood up. Oh, this is our new house. I arranged with the old monkey for us to move in together, and since your old apartment was only for one person, we now have a house, she said with a smile. Oh, by the way, she said, as if remembering something, she walked to where Naruto was and suddenly hit him in the head. Hard. This is for worrying me, you dumbass. Arg. Naruto said, rubbing his head. What did I do? What? You ask? I'll tell you what. Not only did you suddenly thought you could play hero against an opponent obviously way more experienced and stronger than you, but you do it when you have absolutely no way to defend yourself. She screamed. And what the hell did you do exactly? You were completely exhausted. Did you use the Shitekigen? Or why were your chakra coils filled with earth-type nature chakra? Do you even know what that is? Is unstable pure elemental energy. No living man can harness it pure, even demons are careful with it. Next time you try something like that, I'm gonna kick your ass so hard it will hurt a week beforehand, she ended, ranting. But that's how can it hurt me before you beat me? Naruto wondered, interrupting the moment. I'll make it happen, so don't ask about it. She shut him up with a last hit in the head. They came to see you, you know, the Hokage, Itachi, the Ikarakus, the Hyugas, and a weaponsmith and his daughter Higurashi, I think. By the way, he said that the test was postponed until you felt better, she said. Oh crap, the test, he said before standing up and stretching the sore away from his muscles. Wait, you said 2 days? She nodded. Darn, then I'll go ASAP, he said while removing his pajamas. Why do you even want to learn to forge, by the way? She said, giving him a clean orange shirt with a black swirl on it. I mean, don't you want to be a ninja? Metal forging is not exactly in a ninja's set of skills. I know, Naruto said as he put on dark blue shorts and his sandals, but a while ago I got this flash of something that I've never seen before and I wanted to make it real. The things I saw people do with it were awesome. Well, so long you're fine, Reiko said before humming again in remembrance. What did you do exactly? I think if I hadn't recognized that chakra in your coils no one would have known what happened. He had Anoichi tried to enter your mind so they learned about it but they failed to reach a conclusion. Hell, I couldn't even come up with anything to explain that. Naruto hummed a bit while putting on his blue sandals. To be honest, I have no idea. I just felt so angry that I couldn't do anything. I even thought of giving up right then and there. But he looked at her briefly. I couldn't give up. I just couldn't stay down and disappoint myself. Then I felt it. A power, a strength I didn't felt before. I didn't care where it came from, but I just knew I had to use it to save that little girl and myself. Both Rei and Naruto pondered on just what could that power be or where it came from when a deep, monotonous voice sounded behind them. Perhaps I can help with that. Naruto immediately tensed, hand fingering a hidden kunai in his pocket. Reiko got a defensive position over Naruto with her dark red chakra forming claws over her hands. Now that won't be necessary, Lady Kyubi said the man that stood on the door frame. Both Naruto saw in more detail the newcomer. He was a tall, muscular man, almost as tall if not taller than Ryohei-san. He had black markings around his brown eyes with a little spiral falling like a tear from them. He had short terracotta-colored hair spiked backwards with what appeared to be a bandage-wrapped-up ponytail that extended to his mid-back. He had his entire torso and arms bandaged and had an open button-up black shirt over the bandages. He had black pants, and bandages falling on his sides like a half-skirt made of them. He had his feet bandaged as well from the shin down. The newcomer addressed them both formally. Trough his poker face. Kyubi no, Uzumaki-sama. It's a pleasure to meet you. He bowed a bit. I am Kurono Inubisu, one of the 8 archangels on service of Kami-sama and patron lord of the earth. Both Naruto and Reiko got wide-eyed. I came upon Kami-sama's request to explain and also assist Naruto-sama in any way necessary. He then looked at Naruto. You have recently unlocked an ability of your bloodline that had previously never been unlocked until the chosen one was at least 15, with Kami-sama being the youngest user. I came to corroborate on her account that you have indeed accomplished. So he took a pause. If you would, Naruto-sama, try to focus on the same feeling you had when you felt the power. Naruto, not wanting to bother the angel, nodded as he tried to focus on the same emotions he got last time. Meanwhile, Reiko was still shocked. An angel, no, an archangel, had come. I mean, he is one of the strongest beings in existence, possibly as strong as the J-. Her line of thought, however, was interrupted when she felt a huge amount of natural energy being released besides her. She snapped her sight towards Naruto. Naruto had his eyes turn brown once again, though they were a bit clearer than last time, and the skin near his arms had darkened a little with a determined look on his face. Reiko was slack-jawed at the sight, and the angel hummed a bit. It appears it is true then. You have undoubtedly unlocked elemental manipulation, albeit a very weak form of it, he said. Reiko perked up at that elemental manipulation. She wondered a bit. You have currently unlocked earth-type manipulation, although a very rough form of it. No wonder Kami-sama asked me to come. He trailed off. Naruto-sama, I will personally train you in earth manipulation. With enough training you might fully unlock your earth transformation, but it might be years for that to happen, and I have business to attend to. I will come back tomorrow to arrange our training. Not waiting for a response, the angel glowed a bright orange before the glow dived to the ground with a slight rumbling and the floor cracking. Holy shit, both Reiko and Naruto said, looking at the effects of his earth Shunshin Dam, trained by angels and demons. You never cease to surprise me, Naruto, Reiko said as Naruto scratched the back of his head. Oh right. Rei-chan, I gotta go take the test with Ryohei-san. What time is it? Naruto said while walking out of the room. Rei was slightly startled by his lack of interest on the fact that a freaking archangel just was on his room and wanted to train him. She figured he'd be jumping around. Exited. Then she thought about it and realized something. Duh. He already met Kami-sama. And he's to be the next deity. Of course an archangel wouldn't be as surprising to him now. She shrugged it off and said, it's 10 a.m. I made some breakfast for me, but I made a bit too much, so dig in, she said as she brought him some scrambled eggs and bacon. No ramen? He pouted. Reiko looked at him flatly, before shaking her head. Ah, he whined while poking the eggs. Don't get me wrong, Naruto, ramen is awesome, but you're going to have to eat something more nutritious. Now that I'm here I'll make sure you do, and yes, I will make sure to purchase supper at the correct price, she said, leaving no room for debate. Besides, don't you want to grow taller? She said as she looked him make a face. Naruto instantly got wide eyes and began to eat the eggs and bacon. Reiko giggled at his antics, but she also served herself and dug in. She chewed the bacon, enjoying the taste. She recalled that while inside Naruto, she got to taste the flavors of what Naruto ingested, and she recognized that ramen was still the best thing that ever happened. But so many years of tasting barely anything other than ramen and near-expired milk was boring, and she missed other foods. Hokage Tower. Hiruzen was currently going over the reports of a small earthquake that seemed localized around the area where Naruto and Reiko's house is now located. The old man sighed a bit. So Naruto woke up, eh? Curious, he recovered a lot faster than expected, the old Hokage said while fingering a small orange book under his desk, just so tempted to read it right there and then. Hokage-sama, came the voice of one Uchiha Itachi as he stepped into the Hokage's office. Itachi, what do you require? I've come upon startling news, Hokage-sama. I suggest sealing the room, Itachi said, and the Hokage, seeing his serious face, complied to it. After asking the two Anbu always stationed in his office to get out, the old Hokage turned on the seals of the room, completely isolating them from the outside world. So what is this about, Itachi? The Hokage sat on his desk again with a serious look on his face. As your request, I've been investigating the strange movements within the Uchiha clan as of late, and I've come upon startling news. It appears that some of them are not completely comfortable with the way the Uchiha's position currently is within the village. They feel they should rule Konoha themselves, and though many are not vocal about it, their intentions and actions have led me to believe that they are planning a coup d'etat. Though the date if the plan goes through is still unknown to me, Itachi said, and the old Hokage hummed a bit. How many and who are the Uchiha that know of this and or are supportive of it? The aged Hokage asked of Itachi while analyzing the situation. I'm not sure, Hokage-sama. I overheard two Uchiha elders speaking about this, and I believe there is a high possibility that father is in on it as well, and might even be the main instigator. However, the number of people in the plan, as well as their identities, are well kept secret, though I believe mother is unaware of it based on her reaction to father's late behavior. I believe some other families within the compound are also unaware of this movement, though I've yet to correctly identify them. The Hokage hummed again. For now, it'd be too risky to make a move, especially not knowing the full details. Itachi, can you somehow get in on their scheme? It will be hard, but I suppose I could with some time, Itachi answered. Perhaps with help of Shursui's special push I could do it faster, but I fear that he might be in on that scheme. I see. Very well, Itachi, I want you to keep an eye on Fugaku, and try to be let in on their plans, or at least gather enough data on them, the Hokage commanded before Itachi nodded. Oh, and one more thing. Naruto seems to have woken up. Could you check up on him? He said as he deactivated the seals in the room. Itachi nodded once again before leaving through the door. The old ruler sat on his chair and eyeing the window. He let out a sigh. I'm too old for this type of shit, he said before taking an orange book from his desk. Naruto's house. So any idea on what the angel was talking about? Naruto said as he chomped down on the eggs. Archangel Naruto, and I believe I do. I read in the palace's library that when alive, deities were this mighty warriors or wise men and women, who could bend the elements to their will. Matter itself was but putty in their hands. I don't know much on the technical details, but I'm sure it'll come to you with time, Reiko said before taking a sip of orange juice. Libra, when did you go to the library? Naruto asked, a bit confused. I spent the first 2 years of my life in the demon's royal palace being groomed into the next ruler. I was then forced to learn the entire library by the time I was 3, of course, so I could take over the mantle in my 5th birthday. I bailed out of that when I was 2, I didn't finish the library but did learn a lot of interesting things, like the fact that I'm not the first Kyuubi to run away. In fact, Grandpa did it when he was 3 years old. He came back 10 years later, she said with a grin that rivaled one of Naruto's own. So you're actually 2 years older than me? You look my age, Naruto said, chewing on bacon. I told you the first time we met, I'm timeless. I'm whatever physical age I want to be. I just take upon your age out of commodity, and the fact it's close to my actual age, she said, standing up and taking her dishes to the kitchen sink. Wait, you said you read the library? And you were not even 3? Naruto said, startled by the things she did as a toddler. I told you we demons are born in full power, and capable of thinking correctly by ourselves. Shape-shifting also comes with birth, so I actually took a 10-year-old form so I could hold the books by myself. We demons are very independent beings, seeing as we are born with everything to be that, and demon foxes are no different. Only when a Kyuubi is born they must take a 5-year training before taking the throne, she said, taking a seat on the table in front of Naruto. I see you demons are very complicated, Naruto said while finishing his food. Well, to be 100% truthful, the most complicated ones are the Kitsune demons, and the tailed beasts. The rest of them don't really care about much and do whatever they want. That rarely involves humans, but there have been demons that come though the human realm to terrorize around. That's where the humans' fear of demons came from, she said to Naruto, who was now washing the dishes. Wait, tailed beasts like with you being the Kyuubi? Are there more demon lords like you? Naruto asked Reiko as he was drying his hands. Well, yes, there are in fact 9 tailed beasts. Some have a similar structure to us Kitsunes, others don't, but don't worry about them. It's nothing of importance. Besides, I have only met 2 of them, the Ichibi, who was a friend of mine, and the Nanabai, who was kind of like my guardian. Naruto hummed a bit. Anyway, Rei, I have to get ready for the test with Ryo Hayasen. Where is the bathroom? He asked. Upstairs, second door to the right, Reiko said as Naruto nodded and went upstairs. Itachi, hush, she said as she got to the door a bit before the bell rang. Opening the door, the previously mentioned Uchiha was in front of her. Reiko-san, ohei gozaimasu, Itachi said, bowing slightly. I came under the suspicion that Naruto-kun has awoken already. Ohei, Itachi, yes, you're right, he just woke up a couple minutes ago. He's currently taking a shower, Reiko said, slightly annoyed by Itachi's formality. Ah, that is good news indeed. I also came to confirm if this even was in any way related to the microscopic seismic activity that occurred a bit ago. Did you even doubted it? Reiko answered with a smile and raising an eyebrow, causing a smile from Itachi. Anyhow, Naruto didn't directly cause the shake, but he is in part responsible. Perhaps later, after talking with the Hokage, will he tell you, because frankly I can hardly believe it myself. So shall it be. Seeing that Naruto-kun is busy, I shall depart. I'll see both of you later. Goodbye, Reiko-san. Itachi bowed again before disappearing in a leaf swirl. Reiko sighed once Itachi's presence disappeared. Now I guess I'll have to begin making plans for Naruto's itinerary. With the basic training and what Kurono-san wants to teach him, he'll be pretty busy. Add the blacksmith lessons he wishes to take, and well, it's a good thing he recovers fast and has a lot of energy. She then went to her room to do her bidding. Later. Rei-chan. I'm going already. I'll come back later, Naruto said as he went out of the house. She smiled a bit at the Chan thing but suddenly said, wait. Nary she started bu, he had gone already. She sighed a bit. Darn that boy, he doesn't even know where this house is or how far is it to the weapon shop. Oh well, his problem now. Where did I put that scroll? I'm sure I left it around here. She began searching while Naruto was getting himself lost. With Naruto. I should have asked Rei the way, Naruto said as he was lost somewhere he hardly recognized. This must be the richer sector of Konoha. Naruto mused and was a bit confused. The house was in the richer part of Konoha, yet it wasn't much bigger than an upper-class civilian house, nothing compared to the large clan compounds or the Uchiha's mini citadel. Who was rich enough to afford the land and still prefer a smaller house when built? Although it'd be easier to pay maintenance, and when did I started understanding real estate affairs? Darn flashes filling my mind with crap instead of awesome things, Naruto mumbled as he took a turn to the left and came out somewhere in the market area. Oh, I recognize here. The house is close to the Hyuga compound. He looked around a bit. So the weapon shop is over there, he said while walking towards Higurashi Arms. Later. Entering the store, Naruto waved to the one behind the counter. Hi there, Tenten, he said with his closed eyes and large grin. Naruto. What, I thought you were out cold. She was genuinely surprised at seeing him up when the day before she heard her father said he wouldn't be up in a week. At least I thought you were supposed to be knocked out for a couple more days, she said as she got down from the chair and went to Naruto's side. What can I say? I recover very fast, he shrugged with a grin before getting bopped in the head. Dumbass. Don't go around playing hero like that. You nearly got killed for what I heard, Tenten said while Naruto rubbed the back of his head. That's the second time I get hit on the head, he mumbled as Tenten was fuming, though at least there was no worse threat afterwards. Oh right. I came to see your father, Tenten. Is he here? Naruto said, remembering why was he there in the first place. Dad? Yes, he is in the forge working on some kunai. You want to go see him? Go ahead, Tenten answered, pointing at the door to the forge. Okay, thanks, Tenten, he said as he went into the forge. Tenten sighed a bit and returned to the counter while reading a weapons monthly magazine. Once he entered, he saw Ryohei dipping in water a red-hot kunai. Hey, Ryohei-asen, he said, smiling at the soothe-covered blacksmith. Said blacksmith turned to see a young blonde grinning widely at him. Naruto? I thought you'd be out for a week. Come closer, Gaki, the bearded man said as he waved Naruto to come closer. Naruto did as told as he said, I heal very fast. He shrugged off, with Ryohei doing the same. So what did you come here for, Gaki? He said while looking at the blade of the kunai he just made. I came for the test, Naruto said. You came to take the test? I would have thought you would at least take a day or two after you woke up to recover, Ryohei said, slightly surprised with the blonde's drive. Nah, I'm fine. I can do this, Naruto said, stubbornly determined, drawing out a sigh from Ryohei, who scratched the back of his head a bit before looking at Naruto again. Alright, Gaki. But I have to finish this up. Why don't you go back to the store and help Tenten while I finish, the blacksmith said as he dismissed Naruto with a wave of his hand. Naruto nodded and got out of the forge to see how could he help Tenten. Shrugging at this, Ryohei put back his goggles as he went and grabbed another piece of iron to make more kunai. Naruto stepped outside of the forge and waved to Tenten, who waved back. I'm gonna take the test later. Want me to help you on something in the meantime? Naruto said. Tenten shook her head a bit. Nah, today has been a slow day. Not many clients. Naruto nodded and took a chair near the counter. A bit later, a woman came into the store carrying some paper bags with supper. She had a sleeveless light blue vest and white skirt with sandals and a brown apron on. She had her brown hair in a bun on the back of her head with crossed hair chopsticks in it, and some long braids falling from it. "Hi Mom," Tenten said to her, surprising Naruto a little. "Hi Tenchan, I'm home and I brought the dinner," the woman said before looking at Naruto. "Hiya there kid," she said before looking back at Tenten with a smile. "Tenchan, could you come here for a bit?" she said, motioning to Tenten to come closer, and began whispering in her ears. "MOM," Tenten said, getting red in the face. The woman laughed a bit before whispering back to her, and Tenten whispering back. After a while the woman pouted a bit before getting a smile and looking at Naruto. "So you're the gaki Papa Bear keeps talking about?" she said. "Nice to meet ya. I'm Tenten's sexy mother, Higurashi Hama. Yoroshiku," she gayed while giving Naruto a nice guy pose looking similar to a certain green-wearing jounin who sneezed at that moment. "Hi, my name is Uzumaki Naruto, Yoroshiku," he said, shaking her hand. "Ano Hamabe." He paused at her glare. "Nice," and she nodded, and he released a breath. "Ano, you're Tenten's mother, right?" At her nod he continued, "Does that mean you're the same age as Ryohei-asen? You look quite young." Hama grinned widely as a groan was heard behind Naruto. "For heaven's sake, Gaki, I'm only 35, Ryohei whined after coming out of the forge. Hama grinned and said, "Shut up, old man, except that you're aging properly," she said while ruffling Naruto's hair. "I am only a year older than you. How can you age so slowly compared to me?" he cried comically. "You just age faster, Ryokun," Hama said before tiptoeing her way towards Ryohei and kissing him. "Anyways, Naruto, I finished preparations. Come to the forge and we'll start," he said, holding the door to the forge open. "Go on, Naruto-chan, I'll make you two some sandwiches," she said, and both Tenten and Ryohei paled slightly. Naruto noticed but remained silent, although he heard a hardly audible whimpering of "please don't" from Ryohei before he was pulled by the elder man into the forge. Once the door was closed, Ryohei turned to Naruto and whispered harshly, "If you eat those sandwiches they might kill you, so just act like you did and we'll throw them into the fire," he said, sweating a bit, and Naruto's eyes got big as saucers before he nodded quickly. Ryohei nodded and walked to the anvil to get some things. "Okay Naruto, put on this gear," he said, and handed Naruto a pair of gloves, goggles and a leather apron like his own but smaller. Naruto took the clothes and quickly put them on. The clothes fitted him well and he turned a slightly questioning glance to Ryohei. "They are Tenchan's gear," he said, and Naruto accepted the explanation. "So what's first, Ryohei-asen?" "There is no first, Naruto. I'm gonna put you shaping a kunai. Come here and look at me doing it, and then I will have you try it," he said as he got some thongs and grabbed something from a pile or red-hot ash. It was a small cube of red metal. He proceeded to hammer it until it was about twice the length of a kunai. Then he folded it again and kept hammering again. This folding and stretching kept going for a while until he finally smashed it into the shape of a kunai. He dipped the red metal in water and smeared some mud-looking thing along the edges. Once the mud was done, he took some of the sandwiches Hama had brought and tossed them in the ashes. Naruto got wide eyes as flames and sparks erupted from the ashes. Ryohei took the kunai and dipped it into the ablaze ashes and began fanning the flames so they grew. After a while the blade eventually turned bright red. He removed the blade from the ashes and dipped it into the water again. After a bit he took it out and inspected the blade. Nodding for a bit, he put it in the table. "Now all it needs is sharpening, but that'll be for later. I want you to do the whole thing you saw, Naruto. I'll be watching you, so don't worry. In case anything goes wrong, I'll simply point it out to you." Naruto nodded and proceeded to do the same as Ryohei. He was quite nervous, but he just kept doing what was asked of him. Naruto knew he was doing something wrong, or at least not completely right, but Ryohei was just staring intently at him without commenting anything. After Naruto finished the shaping, he dipped it in water and Ryohei gave him the mud-like substance. Naruto took it and began brushing the kunai with the substance. After a while Naruto put it again in the flames and waited. Ryohei took the kunai out as soon as it was ready, knowing Naruto wouldn't recognize when to do so. Ryohei gave an inspecting glance at the kunai once finished, and a smile perched on his lips. He smiled to Naruto and said, "Not bad, Gaki. You have talent. I might be able to teach you how to do it properly after all. Come on, let's get out of here." He patted the blonde's back and both got out of the forge. After a little chat with Tenten, Hama and Ryohei, Naruto said his goodbyes and he proceeded to leave. Once he had, Hama turned a bit serious and said to Ryohei, "So how did it go?" she asked her husband. Her reply came in the form of a dull black kunai tossed at her hands. Giving the piece of iron a once-over, she raised an eyebrow. "The Gaki really did this? It is rather well made. A few flaws here and there, but nothing major," she said. "I know, and you know what keeps bothering me?" While he was folding the metal, it didn't look forced like most of the people do. His technique was more fluid, like the metal was flowing into shape rather than being hammered into it, he said while fidgeting with his beard. Hama raised an eyebrow at her husband and voiced, "Her those flowing? You think he might have the?" She was cut by Ryohei. "I don't know yet, but it seems similar to the tails. Perhaps he might, but I'm not sure. Time alone can tell the answer. He seemed to narrow his eyes a bit. Anyway, let's go get the scrolls just in case, he said, and Hamon nodded and left. He turned his sight to the retreating form of Naruto. I wonder if you could have it, Naruto, the lost ability, he whispered, and Tenten, who was waving goodbye at the blonde, turned to look at him. Did you said something, Daddy? She asked, and Ryohei shook his head. Nah, it's nothing, princess. Let's just go to the kitchen before your mother decides to prepare the food. 2 months have passed since Naruto got visited by the Archangel. After Naruto's first training meeting with the creature, he discovered that Anubisu was as much of a slave driver as Rei was. Flashback. Naruto and Anubisu had arrived at a small valley west of Konoha. There was hardly any vegetation in the area, and the large rock walls of the canyon surrounded them. Very well, Naruto-sama, I am to teach you about the elements. What can you tell me about the elements, Naruto? The Archangel dropped the honorary in the end as he adopted a more stern tone, which would later be baptized by Naruto as Sensei mode. Naruto fidgeted a little under the Archangel's gaze, but he answered nonetheless. I heard there are 5 elements, fire, earth, water, wind, and lightning, sir. The Archangel nodded but still narrowed his eyes a bit. Very well, but you're wrong. You see, there are a total of 8 elements that make up everything that exists, and that lightning one is not really an element, it's a worldwide, very weakened, Kekkei Genkai, 1. But that is beside the point, and since I am going to teach you about only one of the elements, the rest are not of my concern. I am going to be teaching you about the earth, he said as Naruto nodded. Earth is an element that forms part of the physical plane, and like all elements it has certain characteristics. How headstrong you are is a fundamental part of earth, for like a mountain you must be unmovable. Earth has the ability to harden anything, so first we shall start by hardening your own body, Anubisu said firmly. Naruto nodded but got a question almost immediately. Anubisu-san, how are we going to harden my body? Naruto asked, only to regret it after hearing the answer. Anubisu smirked at Naruto's question and answered with a terrifyingly sweet tone, why, Naruto-san? We are going to train you, he said. Naruto knew that while the man was an angel, the way he said train, he could have swore he heard lamenting wails screaming torture somewhere in the background, and he didn't like that one bit. We shall start by hitting this rock over here. He made a rising move with his hand and a man-sized boulder rose beside him. Naruto was awed and put attention when he saw the rock appear. Remember that energy you felt back then? Anubisu asked, and at Naruto's nod he continued, try focusing then very energy, and do as I do, he said before he stood before the boulder. The Archangel took a firm stance and breathed out, then he stepped forwards and hit the boulder with his fist. What Naruto was not expecting was for the boulder to actually be blown away from the force of the blow. The boulder broke in dust and pieces as it hit a rock wall. The result was a slack-jawed Naruto. Anubisu summoned another boulder, although this one a bit smaller, about Naruto's size. Now you try, Naruto, the Archangel said and motioned to the new boulder. Naruto nodded and stood in front of the boulder before trying to summon the same energy from before. When he finally felt the familiar sensation of the strange chakra, he opened his eyes and did the same thing Anubisu did to the rock. It didn't work. Instead, Naruto's hands' bones broke and he got thrown back from the boulder, and, while his chakra healed him in a matter of seconds, it still hurt like a bitch. Anubisu looked at Naruto and heaved a sigh. Great, this is going to take some time. Flashback/end. Naruto shuddered as the phantom pains from those horrible sharp rock attacked his arm. He took a moment to notice his surroundings, noticing how much had his life changed in the span of 3 months after his last birthday. He got up from the bed and ran a hand over his yellow locks, ready to begin a new day. He got his things and went to the bathroom as quick as he could, lest Rei-chan got there first. Hokage Tower. A quiet knock sounded on the doors to the Hokage's chambers. Hiruzen was filling paperwork, but he didn't miss the drowned sound come on, and the old Hokage responded. Slowly the door opened, and in came Uchiha Itachi, probably to report about the Uchiha's plans. However, something seemed to worry young Itachi, as the Hokage noticed. No, not just worry, but he also had a sliver of fear in him, and Hiruzen wanted to find out why, so he immediately sealed the room after Itachi got in. Hokage-sama, I'm afraid I bring dire news, about 2 things that might just bring the end of Konoha. I was finally invited a week ago to the Uchiha plan, and it is as we suspected. They are planning a coup d'etat, your assassination, and forcibly place Fugaku as Hokage, Itachi said with disdain of his own father. I discovered the full length of the people in the plan, and apparently no one else is even aware of the clan's intentions. Many family members of mine are innocent, and that includes Mother, Itachi said. The Hokage nodded sadly. Both knew of this already, but he couldn't help but be saddened that it was now confirmed, but his sadness disappeared as he saw Itachi's distressed face. The other thing, Hokage-sama, I believe that Uchiha Madara is still alive and that he has contacted me in hopes I help him eliminate the clan, Itachi finished, and the Hokage's pipe fell on the floor. Madara is still alive! Madara is still alive! Holy dollar hashtag 7 foot thought the Hokage. Naruto's house. So have those lessons on smithing been useful so far? Reiko asked Naruto while eating a bowl of cereal. Yeah, according to Ryo-Hayasan I have lots of talent. He keeps telling me I have a gift for smelting and such, Naruto said, wolfing on the cereal. Really? And how about your training with Kurono-sama, she said tentatively as the last time she mentioned him Naruto began shivering. Naruto shuddered and rubbed his hand. Well, to be honest, it's not going all perfect, but I have a firm grasp on the form. The problem, according to Anubisa-sensei, is that I keep trying to control Earth, instead of becoming the Earth. I still have no idea of what it means, but I guess I'll figure it out eventually, he said as he served himself another bowl. Rei knew what the Archangel was trying to teach Naruto, but she wouldn't give Naruto any pointers, she'd let him figure it out. She looked at Naruto and saw him smiling freshly. She still had no idea where did the boy got so much energy. She'd seen him work on his room late at night doing some things and drawing blueprints of things she had no knowledge of. He was being worked to the bone by an archangel and took lessons on smiting, and even then he had time to play in the park with her, and some other girls he began making friends with. Some blonde girl who wouldn't leave him alone, a blue-haired girl who kept blushing, and her little sister who kept looking at him like an idol while sporting a blush of her own. Reiko would play with everyone, but only because Naruto played with them. She noticed how the Yamanaka kept giving her inquisitive, furtive glances, obviously wondering why Reiko was with Naruto all the time. The eldest Hyuga was way too shy for her own good, but at least with Naruto's help she was getting away from her shell, and Reiko got along well with her. Finally, as for the younger Hyuga, she was fairly outgoing and outspoken. She kept having these cute blushes whenever Naruto was near her, and Reiko even heard her mutter, "A drowned Keshi-san," too. The clatter of dropped dishes brought her from her daydream as Naruto left the dishes in the sink. "Ui Rei-chan, today is Saturday. I have no lessons with Ryo-Hayasan nor with Anubisa-sensei. I'm going to go upstairs to the study to keep working on my project," Naruto announced. "Are you gonna tell me what it is now?" Reiko asked, already knowing the answer. "Nope." Naruto grinned. "It's a surprise for both of us, something that when finished will be very awesome," Naruto called as he ran upstairs. Reiko was taken aback. This was the first time he told her his project was for her. As well, she didn't know what to think, and frankly only made her even more curious about his project. She couldn't wait until he finished it. With a nod, Reiko also stood up and emptied her dishes in the sink. "I'll do them later. It's not like that'll kill me," she thought. Naruto's study. "Kamine! Thanks for the huge luck you gave me in finding this place," Naruto grinned as he kept reading and annotating things from sealing books and scrolls he found on that room. He was reading in his table with a dismantled device by his side. This was his so-called project, though he couldn't work on it right now, so he was reading and reminiscing of when he found the room. Flashback. Naruto was exploring the house. After he came back from Ryohei's test, the house was not a mansion, but it wasn't small. The house also seemed a bit old and somehow occupied. He found all these equipments and stuff around. Though nothing that would reveal anything about the previous owner was found, he did find peculiar things like bunch of odd-shaped kunai with 3 points, or a pair of odd-bladed weapons that, while looking like daggers, were held like if one was to punch, as well as several other strange weapons. 3. As Naruto took a stroll around the house, he saw that there were 3 floors. The lower floor had a living room, a kitchen, a small bathroom, and a guest room, as well as the entrance to a cellary. The second floor held Naruto's room as well as Rei's room and another bathroom, this one the size of his old apartment. It also had another guest room. The upper floor, however, was another story. It had a mid-sized bathroom, a small armory/dojo where he found the odd weapons, and another room with several books about sealing in it. This book-filled room ended up becoming Naruto's study. Strangely enough, Naruto was the only one who could get in the study room. Rei said she felt dizzy and a bit winded after being there for a while, and anyone else, including the Hokage, felt worse whenever they got near the 3rd floor. "Najiji, if you guys can't be here, can I? I don't feel bad, and it's a waste to let the place go and use," Naruto asked with huge sad eyes. It was the lethal puppy face jutsu, made even more effective for the sparkling dark violet eyes of the blonde. The aging Hokage had no choice but to accept, as not only was his jutsu perfect, but also the fact that the Kyuubi no Yoko was slightly glaring at him while snuggling to the adorable chibi. Naruto kind of forced his hand. Flashback/end. So in lieu of this, Naruto thought he could use the 3rd floor for himself and began using the book-filled room as a study and practiced the taijutsu style Anubisa was teaching him from time to time, as well as the chakra control exercises Itachi dropped to him the other day in the dojo. Naruto had been researching about seals and many other things, After all, he only had the basic knowledge of seals due to the flash he had when he freed Reiko, and even then, he didn't remove the Shiki Fuyin. He merely displaced it so that Reiko could get out. Now he had this huge empty space in his mindscape and a powerful lock that was not in use. Soon after releasing Rei, he checked and the seal in his stomach was still there, just empty, so he was looking for a way to remove the seal, among many other things. His main project, however, was something he had seen in another flash, something that if he managed to adapt in this world, with the help of higher understanding of seals and smithing, could be one of the greatest combat inventions of the century, maybe even more advanced than what the legendary Snow Country could come up with for a while. Whenever he went to Ryohei's shop, he would ask him to make certain parts for his invention. So far, Naruto had assembled half the device he wanted to build and kept designing the rest, though he was getting stuck in certain parts, hence why he was studying sealing, so he could try a way around the problems. "Arg, this is so darn troublesome," Naruto said while massaging his temples. Somewhere else, the entire male population of the Nara clan sneezed at the same time, and a certain pineapple-haired boy fell backwards from the chair he was sitting in from sneezing so hard. "Darn it, Shikamaru, you messed the board," Naro Shikaka said as he berated his son, even if he also did push he board when he sneezed. Nara Yoshino was looking at his husband blame her son for something he mostly did. She would not allow this to happen, obviously, so she grabbed a frying pan. Shikaka would later attend the hospital for a concussion in his head. Back at Naruto's study. "Well, maybe if I use this array here, but how am I going to make it solid enough like that?" Naruto asked before his eyes got huge. "Of course. That's it." He frantically flipped through pages until he finally found what he was looking for. "Yes. With this I'll be able to go over that problem. Not the only thing needed is to make the seals, adapt them and put the thing together. After that it'll be easy to make more," Naruto said as he began reading that page dedicatedly. Downstairs. Reiko was in the living room when she heard Naruto's excited voice, and she couldn't help but smile. "He gets so excited with every little breakthrough he has with that project of his," she stated before puffing up her cheeks. "Wish he would tell me what it is though." She then looked out the window. "Such a pretty day, I'll go to the pond." She went outside the house into the small pond in the backyard. She sat at the bench looking at the koi fishes swimming. She took some fish food from the bucket by the bench and began tossing the food to the pond. "Tehi, they are so funny when they splash the water. Ah. Look at me, I'm a 10-year-old yet I'm acting like an old lady. Maybe I should drag Naruto to play out here. He's getting a bit paler as of lately." With that though in mind, she went into the house again and dragged Naruto out of his study, in spite of his whines and yells and negative. After he calmed down, they played tag and other games. Naruto, although annoyed at first, couldn't help but laugh with Reiko as they played together with him chasing her. "Damn, I was starting to feel like the old man, all day stuck doing paperwork. Note to self, thank Rei-chan later." They kept playing till the afternoon when Naruto got hungry, so they decided to go, after some persuasion from Naruto, to Ichiraku's to have ramen. "You know, Naruto," Reiko said, "I made a decision, and I'm not changing my mind." She paused for a bit. Naruto raised an eyebrow and signaled her to continue. "I'm not going back to Makai," she said, and Naruto's eyes got big, but before he said anything she interrupted. "No, Naruto, I am staying by your side no matter what. I made your life an inferno while little, and you've given me nothing but kindness and something much more valuable, your friendship," she said, looking at him. "I might be an empress back there and most powerful demon amongst all, but it's so lonely. My friends hardly visited me when I was there, yet here," she paused, "here I am with you all the time, and I know my friends also came here. I can feel them somewhere in the human realm. I am sure we'll meet them eventually," she said, and grabbed Naruto's hand. "But until then, and after then, I want to stay with you," she said with a small blush. Naruto smiled warmly. "Thanks, Rei-chan. Thanks for being my friend when no one ever wanted to. Thanks, and I shall be by your side forever as well," Naruto said, hugging her. Naruto then composed himself and dusted his clothes a bit. "Now let's go, ramen awaits." Naruto smiled and dragged her from her hand towards Ichiraku. Reiko smiled. "At least I know I won't get bored with him around," she though, as they headed towards the ramen stand. "Oh, make time." Naruto stood in front of a destroyed Konoha. Flames and smoke rose with the screams of the innocents, as the massive black/green creature that destroyed it wailed in the middle of the smoking crater. Naruto lifted in his arms the bloody broken body of his beloved Reiko. Tears poured from his eyes as grief consumed him. "Nah, Naruto-kun, I am sorry, this is all my fault." She coughed blood. "I love you." "Why, Rei-chan, why did you had to leave it like that? This thing grew from it, and now everything is in ruins. Why, Rei-chan, why?" Naruto wailed as the body in his arms lost the warmth from whatever life was left in it. The creature roared his high-pitched banshee-like wail as it turned towards Naruto. Why, Rei-chan, why did you have to leave those dishes unwashed and let the mold become this? Naruto said as the creature's fist crushed him. Arg. Rei woke from her nap violently, and after making sure she was indeed still alive, she turned her head quickly towards the sink and ran to wash the dishes as meticulously as she could. So the Uchiha are going to set their coup plans back for a while, huh? The old Hokage asked of his raven master Anbu, who nodded and responded. Yes, I am not sure when they are planning it now, but the delay stems from the Hyuga incident apparently, he said while bowing to his Hokage and the person who held his true loyalty. It's most likely due to the heightened patrol around the village rather than any concern on the village's welfare, he commented sadly. What about Shursui? Do you believe he will join us in retraining the Uchiha rebellion? Asked the aged leader, drawing a breath from his pipe. I am not sure. Hokage-sama Shursui is like any other Uchiha in his arrogance, but he loves the village more than the clan. After all, his arrogance stems from his skill, not his name, Itachi said. As it should be, and as it is with you as well, though I can say you are far from the arrogant person, Sarutobi commented. Still, if you are unsure, how about talking with him outside the village? I am going to give you both a mission to stop a few bandits that are terrorizing the ports of Akabudashu City. Take that opportunity to talk to him, and if he openly refuses, use your genjutsu to make him forget about it, the old Hokage said. Very well, Hokage-sama, he said while taking off his mask. Should I go get him? At the Hokage's nod, he vanished. I only hope we can settle this without much bloodshed, the old man sighed, demonstrating that in spite of being the most powerful shinobi of the village, he was still a very much tired old man. The Hokage turned and looked sadly at the frames that held the pictures of his predecessors and his perished successor. I wonder if you were in my place, what would you have done, Minato? He said with sadness in his tired voice. Naruto was sweating heavily and bleeding from several places as he faced his adversary. The terrifying aura of his opponent was enough to bring most people to their knees, but he still remained standing, never giving up. Thus his eyes had become brown and his skin darkened around his extremities. He was channeling the power of earth, and he was still incredibly tired. How about it, Reiko-sensei, is it better? Naruto said through dragged breath, still withstanding his red-headed friend's hellish training. Not bad, Naruto. But still you are lacking heavily, she said while scolding the blonde. Once you channel the energy of earth, your defense is shot through the skies. You are supposed to take my punches straight on without damage, and while it is true that I am holding back, you are still being damaged this much? It's definitively going to take a lot of time for you to master your earth mode, she slightly disappointed. She sighed yet still continued. Still, the fact of the matter is that most likely it will take you years of training to even be able to use this earth mode proficiently in combat. She then relaxed her stance and walked towards Naruto. Come on, it was enough for today, Naruto, she said while his hands glowed red. Let me just patch you up. Naruto released a breath he didn't know he was holding, not to be unappreciative, but you seriously don't know how to hold back, Rei-chan, Naruto said as he let the red glow on Rei's hands heal his wounds. Once Naruto was healed, they went home a little wobbly. In Naruto's case, I really don't like the fact that fatigue is not healed by chakra, he said while rubbing his sore arms. I will take a nap for a while once we reach home, he said as Reiko rolled her eyes at his remark. Stop whining, at least you're getting stronger. As you are right now, you could beat a graduated genin, she said, but Naruto raised an eyebrow. Wait a second, didn't I just beat the crap out of a jounin a while ago? He asked, to which Reiko looked at him with a bored look on her eyes. You do know that you got lucky then, right? I mean, you took him by surprise with your earth mode and he underestimated you a lot. Besides that, he was overconfident in his own skills. Luck was on your side then, but you can't rely on luck forever. That is the reason we train so hard. Your major wounds are healed by yourself. I heal your lacerations and bruises, and your own stamina helps overtrain you. You are considerably becoming stronger through my training, however hellish you might say it is, she told him. Besides, you can't even control the massive amount of chakra you have. How will you expect to beat even a seasoned genin? She laughed a little as Naruto puffed his cheeks in annoyance. As soon as they reached home, they found Itachi on the door waiting for them. Itachi and I? What are you doing here? Naruto asked as he didn't have training with Itachi that day. Actually, Naruto-kun, I am going on a mission, so I won't be able to continue your training. I probably won't be back until next month, maybe more. But since you have more free time now, I enrolled you in the academy. You start on Monday, and so does my little brother Sasuke. Could I ask you to look after him? He's got the arrogance of an Uchiha, so I am sure he'll get in trouble, he said to Naruto's shock. I also heard that various clan children are joining this period as well, such as the Hyuga and Yamanaka girls. Itachi smirked at Naruto's shock. Wait, I am actually going on the academy now? Officially? Naruto spoke with his jaw hung loose. That is awesome. He yelled immediately afterwards. Rei-chan. I'm going to be a ninja. How cool is that? He asked, shaking his former tenant. You do know you're going to become a god, right? I mean, a ninja I suppose is cool for a human, but you're to be a freaking god, aren't you more excited about that? Rei said with a raised eyebrow. Besides, you are only going to the academy, you'll have to wait until you are 13 to actually be a ninja, she added. Well, yet being a god is cool, but being a ninja has been my dream since I was little, so it has a little more impact really. Besides, I already got over that shock before Kaminichan told you I was to be the next god, he said with a more serious demeanor. Anyway, Naruto, now that you're an academy student, you can no longer be trained by me since it would be too much of an advantage in official records. However, you can still take your extra lessons with Reiko-san since she's not actually listed as a kunoichi of Konoha, and the lessons she gives you could be considered clan-related. However, I do have one last piece of advice to give you before you enter academy, Itachi said to bring forth the attention of both Naruto and Reiko. Naruto, take it from me that being the best there is not a glamorous path when it comes to ninja. I am not telling you to not aim for Rookie of the Year, but I ask of you to remain cautious as to what you show, if you really want to be Rookie of the Year. Act like you're actually struggling for the title rather than just take it as a breeze lest you attract the attention of the wrong kind of people, Itachi said while kneeling and putting a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Well, I have to go get ready for my mission, so I'll see you around, Naruto, and good luck. Itachi stood up and vanished in a swirl of leaves. So Naruto-kun, what are you going to do now? Reiko said. I am going to support you the best I can regardless of your decision, Reiko said as she opened the door to the house. Itachi and I is right, I will try to go for the Rookie of the Year title, but I'm going discreetly about it. I guess I should postpone to finish my project at least until things calm down from school. Hey Ray-chan, do you want to help me buy the supplies for Ninja Academy? I can't bear with the excitement, he said while regaining his hyperactive demeanor much to Reiko's amusement. Was he not like dead tired a minute ago? Oh Naruto-kun, you never cease to amuse me, she thought with a smile as they began walking to the market area. What is it, Takai? You seem out of it recently, job's a bit too much for you, said a person with a black cloak and black rings on his eyes. I'm fine, Anabisu. It's just that I have the feeling that not too long from now I will have to go pick up many souls. I can feel it in my bones, answered a man with long white hair and a white yukata. In your you sound like an old man, Takai. It doesn't suit your appearance at all, said a third voice more jokingly. This time came out a young boy with terracotta-colored hair and a black Shaolin robe with a bright green sash. So says you, Fengling, you look the youngest of us, said the white-dressed man. I aim to please my friend, I aim to please, the young man said with a big Naruto-like grin. So Itachi, where are we going again? I forgot, said one Shursui Uchiha, as he tried not to look too disheveled in spite of his untamed mane of curly hair. Sigh, sometimes I wonder what did I do to deserve having to drag you around in almost every mission, Itachi said while rubbing his temples. You're stuck with me, dude, and that's pretty much it. So how is it going with the little pheasant? Training going well? He asked his friend who kept rubbing his temples.